What's up guys, Maelstrom here. If you enjoyed then like and subscribe so I can keep on making these awesome videos for you guys. What? The two-story house nearly shook from the roar of sound. Jeez. You guys are so troublesome. His name is Uzumaki Zabuza, my mother's brother. So he is my uncle, Naruto said lazily. Shino looked awfully confused. I'm sorry Naruto-san, how does that make him Kakashi-sensei's uncle as well? Ah, Shino-san, I forgot you didn't know. Kakane's father, Hatake Sakumo, was Shikamaru and my father's cousin. Since all three were like brothers, we three are cousins. Shino was extremely good at hiding his shock. But since you are family, why are you on the same team? He asked. Shikamaru answered his question. To this, we do not know the answer. Naruto and I were very surprised when the teams were announced. We haven't talked to the Hokage on the subject, but he must have had a good reason, so we'll let it go. Shino nodded and accepted this answer. So Hatake Kakashi was related to these two dobes. Shino knew something was wrong. In school, Naruto and Shikamaru had been at the bottom of the class, barely passing. And now, they were A-ranked nins in the bingo book. They had killed 4 nins before actually becoming shinobi. He would have to ask Asuma-sensei about the enigma known as the Nara Kyoto. If it was one thing that Shino hated, it was an unsolvable mystery. Zabuza looked at Tarzuna. Oi, old man, sorry for trying to kill you. It's just that my daughter and I need to survive somehow, and this is one of the only ways. If it makes you feel any better, I was going to kill Gato after I received my pay. By killing you. He finished with a huge smile on his face, though it couldn't be seen through the wrappings covering it. Tarzuna's ship dropped. For some reason I don't feel very comforted by that fact. Please excuse my idiot of a father. He has no tact when it comes to dealing with such sensitive manners. Haku spoke for the first time since entering the house. All eyes turned to her and she blushed under the gaze. Ino noticed the way Shikamaru looked at the girl. He was in a daze. Ino's face developed a sly grin. She knew exactly what she was doing when they all returned to Kanea. She didn't run after her crushes anymore. She helped other people develop them. Dad isn't very good with all this. She gestured to the people in the room. Zabuza blushed. Yes, the demon of the mist blushed. Of course no one except Kakashi could see because of those damn bandages covering his face. They were masked twins. It seemed so they understood the hidden emotions they kept. It was the beginning of a long beautiful friendship. Yes, well, I haven't had much practice, have I? Zabuza retorted. Zabuza Oji-san, could you perhaps tell me about my mother? Naruto asked cautiously. He had never met either mother or father, and the stories he was told were not enough. He wanted to hear them from someone who really knew her. Her younger brother. Zabuza looked at the boy and sighed. He reminded him so much of Kushina, his older sister. He had only known her for 8 years, but they were the best 8 years of his life. Although he looked like the Yondaime, his personality was split between that of a Nara and Uzumaki. From what he had seen of the Uzumaki side, he was a mini Kushi-chan clone. Zabuza wouldn't be surprised if under the calm facade, things like Databao occasionally came out. Naruto, it's late right now. I want to talk as much as you do, but let's talk tomorrow. All 5 of us. Is that acceptable? Naruto nodded. His uncle was right. It was very late at the moment. The sun had gone down a long time ago. Haku and I will make camp outside. The house is cramped as it is. We don't want to intrude, Zabuza said. He knew that others will be uncomfortable in his presence. The others nodded in assent. The two of them silently trooped out the door. Damn Naru, you have a messed up family, Chaoji commented. Yeah, think, was his reply. Tarzuna broke the uncomfortable silence that ensued. Well, this is my daughter Tsunami, and my grandson Inari, he said, gesturing to the pretty young lady and the small boy in the room as well. The lady named Tsunami waved, while the boy stared at them indifferently. Inari and Naruto had a staring contest, a battle between wills. It only lasted about 3 seconds before Inari quailed under Naruto's gaze. It was too late for dinner, even though they had not eaten. Tsunami had one extra room. Ino would bunk with Tsunami while the men and boys would take the room. Having 6 guys in one room was not a prospect that they would like to deal with, but they were ninja, so they would adjust. That night, Naruto lay awake thinking of all the events that had taken place today. He had gained an S-rank, missing Nin and his daughter as an uncle and cousin. The weird part was, it didn't feel weird at all. It felt right. They were a family, a very, very dysfunctional one, but family nonetheless. It would be the first time that he would be meeting a full Uzumaki as well. Tsunade didn't count. From what he knew, the second Uzumaki was his grandfather, his mother and his uncle's father. The Shodame Hokage's wife Uzumaki Mito was the sister to the Nidame Uzukage. What he didn't know was that the Uzumaki clan had been wiped out during a civil war some 30 or so years ago. In it, the Uzukage was killed. Uzumaki Nadare, Kushina, and Zabuza fled to Kurigakure, where eventually, Nadare passed away a year later from extreme mental trauma. At that time, Kushina was 8 and Zabuza was 4. Some 4 years later, Kure had begun its purge of bloodlines in which Kushina was swept away. She was extremely skilled in Fuinjutsu, and could have been considered the same level as Jiraiya was. She also had special chakras that could not be considered a bloodline, but was like the Senju power of controlling the tail beasts. For this reason, Kure tried to kill her. In reality, she had been found by Konohanians in a forest. The Konohanians had taken her to the Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who, upon hearing the name Uzumaki, called Tsunade over immediately. Through blood tests and Kushina's testimony as well as Tsunade's tearful recognition of her cousin, it was concluded that Uzumaki Kushina was indeed the eldest child of the Nidame Uzukage. She was the grandniece of the first Hokage, making her Tsunade and Nawaki's cousin. Originally, Tsunade was chosen to house the Kiwabi when it was confirmed that Mito was slowly dying. However, the Uzumaki's longevity would be better than the Senju's ability to control them. Kiwabi was quite tame at this point, so the Senju ability was useless. Kushina's arrival was perfect. Kiwabi took an immediate liking to Kushina, more so than he did to Tsunade. Days after Mito's death, Kiwabi very willingly was sealed into Kushina. She became the second Jinchuriki of the Kiwabi no Kitsune. Kushina had just reached her 12th birthday at this time. She bypassed the academy and joined the team of Namikaze Minato and Abaram Shibi. Minato and her had met once at a family party in which Kushina was revealed to be the cousin of Tsunade Senju, Minato's uncle's wife. Kushina and Shibi had a very strange relationship. They were as close as brother and sister, yet barely talked. When asked by Minato how this was possible, they said that they had an understanding of each other. Minato and Kushina originally disliked each other. Kushina thought that Minato was a pansy, and he thought she looked like a tomato with her chubby face and vibrant red hair. But that red hair was the thread that tied them together till the end. Kushina had tried to find her brother many times, but never could. She had heard stories of the demon of the mist who had wiped out his entire genin class. But his name was Momoki Zabuza, not Uzumaki. The name Zabuza was very popular in that day. Momoki Zabuza could never be Uzumaki Zabuza. It was unforgivable for a full-blooded Uzumaki male to drop his surname. That person would have been a disgrace to the family. She thought that Zabuza would never do something like that, but he did. Of course Naruto knew none of this, but he would. Tomorrow. That night, Naruto did not move a muscle. Shikamaru stared at his cousin discreetly throughout the night. Naruto was restless. Usually, while Naruto would sleep in awkward positions much like Shikamaru did. He would toss and turn in the night, all while sleeping soundly. So when he did not move at all, it meant something. Naruto was anxious. Very anxious. For 5 people, morning could not come sooner. For the first time in a long time, Zabuza woke up and he felt happy. He felt ecstatic. He had a real family, not just his daughter. Haku was the light of his life. Her mother had been the only woman had ever truly loved from the bottom of his heart. He was never one to admit his feelings, and he couldn't tell her until she was killed 11 years ago in the bloodline raids, just 9 months after Haku had been born. Today was the day he would start to live again. It was the day he would grow a heart once more. Naruto woke to the sound of chirping birds and sunlight pouring into the cramped room. He was feeling a bit apprehensive about the whole ordeal, but enthusiastic as well. He wanted to see what this day would turn out to be. Shikamaru was awake long before anyone else was. Shikamaru truly cared for Naruto, and so he wanted the best for his cousin. He knew that Naruto would be accepting of his uncle and cousin, no matter what. It would be difficult, but they would make it work. In the 10 or so hours that Shikamaru knew Zabuza, he knew that he had changed. Zabuza was a ruthless killer, not a family man. Or so everyone thought. Even the strongest man had a weakness, and Zabuza's was family. Shikamaru guessed that Zabuza only had a rough exterior because if he showed his true feelings, people would try to exploit that. But if Konoha could give them a home, Perhaps then Zabuza would show his true colors. At 8:23 that morning, a disgruntled troop of boys and 2 men marched down from the cramped room on the 2nd floor of the modest house. They were hungry and cranky. Imagine their surprise to walk into a room filled with the delicious aroma of fresh onigiri and fish on the table. Mouths started to water and the men stared at it like they had been reunited with a long-lost lover. Let's imagine that these men are standing there with their mouths wide open with drool dripping down. Next, let's imagine 2 girls, one with blonde hair the other with black, sitting at the table chatting merrily about the life of a kunoichi. If that didn't surprise them, then this might. Finally, let's imagine a man with spiky dark brown hair, sitting at a seat, talking to the man who he had been hired to kill, about the size of the fish that he had caught. Naruto, Shikamaru, Kakashi, Shino, Asuma, and Choji momentarily forgot their hunger to stare at the quartet in awe. The 2 once enemies were chatting with those who they would have killed ordinarily. This included one Uzumaki Zabuza, the man who had killed off his entire genin class and was labeled the Demon of the Mist. What exactly was this world coming to? Zabuza spotted the 6 of them and looked up. Through their days they hadn't noticed that Zabuza had dropped the bandages. He had an angular, smooth face that was chiseled and handsome. It made them wonder if that was what Kakashi looked like underneath his mask. Sadly, only his family and one other female would know at the moment. Yomina, Ohio. He lifted his fingers in a 2-fingered salute with a grin on his face. Yep, that was the older, more sadistic version of Kakashi. Alright. Ohio. Was it really a good morning when the Demon of the Mist actually smiled at you with his shark-like teeth? Zabuza looked straight at Naruto. We promised to talk today, so eat your breakfast and the 5 of us will have a nice chat. Naruto looked at Shikamaru and Kakashi. They nodded. Answers were needed on both sides. Breakfast was eaten in relative silence. Ino and Haku's chattering could be heard. Occasionally, Choji asked Tsunami if he could have more of her heavenly creation. Other than that, mostly everyone was silent. Naruto couldn't wait for breakfast to end. Naruto was not a very patient person. He was lazy, but not patient, a trait inherited from the Uzumaki side no doubt. When Naruto got restless, he was as still as a statue, something that Shikamaru and Kakashi noticed. Shino discreetly observed Naruto. Who was he? Back in the academy, Naruto was an absolute loser. No friends, terrible grades, no potential. Or so everyone thought. Shino was certain that based on the way all the ninjas treated Naruto, this was all just an act. The same went with Shikamaru as well. But why? Why go through such lengths just to keep your abilities a secret? Naruto and Shikamaru were very comfortable with the Jonin senseis. If the conversation at the academy could have been proof, they had tremendous skill, more so than any genin. Then there was the civilians. They were completely different from the ninjas. While the ninjas respected Naruto, the civilians treated him like the scum below. There had observed the civilians sell Naruto overpriced items that were completely outrageous. After he had left, they had called him a demon or Kiwabi no Gaki. Shino wondered if it was something that his parents had done to the civilians that had made them so mad. He even asked Abraham Shibi about this. That was the most emotion he had seen from his father. Shibi had said that Naruto's parents were the most wonderful humans on earth, and those who insulted their legacy were the lowest scum on earth. His mother had come into the room and calmed Shibi down. When Shino asked his mother Tokiko who Naruto's parents were, she smiled and said that he would have to ask him himself. Shino had tried to place his Kakeichu beetles on Naruto, but they always came back saying that the chakra output that he had was too strong for them to stay on him for long. This always had struck Shino as strange because Naruto had never ever fought using chakra. However, now, the pieces were falling into place. Suddenly, Zabuza stood up. Naruto looked at him and nodded. He then beckoned to Shikamaru and Kakashi, who followed him wordlessly. Haku apologized to Ino for cutting their conversation short and went after her father. Ino and Choji looked at each other. Do you think Naru will be okay? Choji asked Asuma. Naruto will be Naruto. I have a feeling that Zabuza will be the one who is going to be more upset than Naruto. Shino called one of his Kakeichu beetles out and made to put it on Shikamaru but was stopped by Asuma. Shino, this is a private matter, do not intrude. But sensei, there should be no secrets between teammates, and for this mission we are teammates. What we don't know can get us killed later on. Asuma smiled a grim smile. Trust me, Shino, Naruto has secrets that people do want to kill him for. He is in the bingo book after all. Let him have his piece today. Besides, how would you like it if people exploited your biggest secret? Shino looked down. He was ashamed of himself. Forgive me, sensei, I was not thinking straight. All is well, Shino. When Naruto feels like you are trustworthy, he will tell you. You and Naruto are more alike than you think. Asuma finished. Shino had a lot to think about and think he would. Zabuza led the rest of the four to a clearing near a small lake. They sat down on the grass and waited for one to start the conversation. After a few minutes, Zabuza spoke. So my sister is dead. He said it in a very flat voice. It wasn't a statement or a question, it was just said. Naruto picked at the grass. To tell you how she died, I should tell you some things about Mom. Zabuza stared at Naruto, his eyes urging Naruto to go on. However, it was Kakashi who spoke. Kashinaba-san was found in Kure when she was 12 by Konoha ninjas. They brought her to Konoha after seeing the Uzumaki insignia on her left shoulder. Everyone stared at Kakashi. This was brand new information. He continued. Uzumaki Mito, the wife of the Shoto Hokage, was the first Jinchuriki of the Kiwabi no Kitsune. Kiwabi. That's what attacked Konoha 12 years ago, Zabuza exclaimed. Yes, well, I'm getting to that part. Anyway, originally, Tsunade Bachan was chosen to house the Kiwabi because she was a senju. However, after Kashinaba-san came to Konoha, she was the perfect candidate. She had those special chakras capable of controlling the Kiwabi if he got out of control, the Uzumaki longevity, and she was a master of Fuinjutsu, all at the age of 12. So she became the second host of the Kiwabi. Haku gasped. Her aunt had held the most powerful monster in history. Eventually, Bosan got the name the Bloody Red Habanero, although no one outside of Konoha knew who that was. This might have been one of the reasons that you never knew she was alive. Bosan and Minato-ji-san were enemies at first, but then they fell in love. They were married 12 years after they met. When both were 24, the marriage was celebrated amongst their close family and friends, and kept a secret from the rest of the world. This is why basically no one knows who Naruto's parents are. No one talked for some time. Naruto decided that he should take over. This is where I come in. You should know that a Jinchuriki is weakest during birth. The seal weakens, and the sealed beast inside has a greater chance of escaping. Kiwabi did get out, but willingly. He knew that it would be easier to come out rather than have Kushina try to suppress him while giving birth. Before you say anything, the Kiwabi be considered like a summon, but he was tied to the host's chakra. Zabuza nodded. He could accept that. However, while she was giving birth to me, something happened. A man by the name of Uchiha Madara. He took control of the Kiwabi. Zabuza looked at Naruto incredulously. Uchiha Madara, the founder of the Uchiha clan, was still alive. Then the rumors about the Yandere Mizukage were not rumors at all, and the Kiwabi went on a rampage under the influence of the Mangekyo Sharingan to destroy Konoha. Of course Dad knew what was going on. He knew that the normally passive being would never attack anyone without reason, and he also knew that the only way to stop the being was to seal it within another, preferably a baby whose chakra coils were not developed. You, Zabuza trailed off. Yes, me. I had just been born. Mom was really weak at the time. She couldn't protect me from the Kiwabi and Madara. But Dad was strong. Extremely strong. He had studied Fuinjutsu under Mom and was more or less her level. The seal on her stomach, Shikifia-jin, he had recreated it. Using the seal means that one must sacrifice their own life to summon the Shinigami. Mom and Dad sacrificed their everything to help me survive, and so I became the third host to the Kiwabi. Naruto finished. Zabuza and Haku remained silent. Kushina had been killed because of that damn Uchiha. The Kiwabi had been good. It wasn't his fault that Konoha was destroyed. Uchiha Madara, that son of a bitch, would die, one way or another. Haku was speechless. Her cousin housed the most powerful being in history. How was he still sane? What was it like? Naruto, was it overwhelming sometimes? Holding the Kiwabi, that is? Haku asked her cousin. Naruto gave her a sad smile. The Sandaime called the entire village together and told everyone what had happened. How the Kiwabi was sealed in me. He knew what had really happened because Dad had left a letter detailing everything that had happened. This letter was read to the council, and that's what stopped them from killing me. It was also read to the ninja section of the village, except for the part about me being his son. Dad asked that I was to be treated as a hero, which the ninja side complied with. They knew the difference between a kunai and the scroll that is sealed within. The civilian side did not. They tried to kill me several times, but never could. Kakani made sure of that, as did my ANBU guard growing up. So when the civilians figured out that I couldn't die, They refused to let me into their stores or sold me terrible products. To this day the only civilian store that I will eat in is a Kairoku ramen. They were the only civilian restaurant to treat me as a human and not a demon. I would come home crying all the time and I would have Shika and the entire Nara clan comfort me. It was at the age of 4 where I learned about Kayuni through deep meditation. He was sleeping for a time, regaining his strength. When I first met him, I was scared shitless. What 4-year-old wouldn't be seeing a 100-foot-tall fox behind a large metal cage all in your head? At first I really hated him. He had made my life outside home hell. But then he told me why he did it, and I forgave him. And so one day I just stopped crying. I didn't let the harsh words or glares affect me. I put on a mask of happiness that only my family could see through. I became the doob of the academy. I was the idiot who ate nothing but ramen and wore kill-me-orange. I even had to hide my relation to my family. Shikamaru and I couldn't really talk to each other, or it would cause suspicion. Both of us can be considered pretty smart, but I had to hide that for obvious reasons. After all, would the villagers like a smart demon or a stupid one? The reason Shikamaru acted so dumb in the academy was for my sake. He could have been Rookie of the Year easily, yet he stayed back because he knew that I couldn't act smart. Then there was Kaka and me. If we were seen in the village together, people would start to ask why the demon was strolling around with the man whose sensei and uncle he had supposedly killed. I hated the villagers for so long. I wanted to kill all of them. But then the kind man and his daughter at the ramen place turned that thought around. They were the only civilians to treat me like I was actually human. So then I thought, if those two treat me so well, the rest of the village will too in due time. And now, 6 years from when I thought that, I am finally gaining some respect from the civilian side. Shikamaru and Kakashi looked somber. Although Naruto led a seemingly perfect life, it was not so. Kakashi had blocked 37 death attacks on Naruto in his first week of living from the civilians. Naruto had been living in the Nara clan house since he was born, but only some ninja knew of this. The Sandaime had bought an apartment for Naruto shortly after his 7th birthday. Naruto was seemingly living there according to the civilians, but it was all a pretense. None of the civilians knew where it was, so they never got the chance to destroy it. Otherwise they would have. Now that Naruto was a ninja, things were different and he finally didn't have to hide anymore. Zabuza looked at Naruto sadly. He had led a pretty tough life, and had to grow up quickly. Haku looked at her cousin with pity. He had to go through so much to be where he was today. Ni, Oji-san, Haku, would you like to meet Kiwabi? Naruto asked. Nai, Ano, are you so sure he won't attack us? Haku cried. Shikamaru laughed. Nah, Kiwabi is tame. Like Naruto said, him attacking Konoha was a mistake, one that he hopes to rectify. So, how about it? Zabuza and Haku looked at each other before finally nodding. Alright, go ahead. Naruto got up and patted the dirt off of his pants. Yosh. Here I go. He bit his thumb and made the signs for the summoning technique. Kakios no Jutsu. Kiwabi no Kitsune. A plume of smoke erupted. From the shadows emerged a 4-foot majestic-looking fox with 9 flowing tails. Yo, or wa Kiwabi da. Hajime. I'm the Kiwabi. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Kawaii. Hakuran unglomped him. Kiwabi was tackled to the ground with a giant thud. Zabuza looked on with bemusement. This is the Kiwabi no Kitsune who attacked Konoha. What has this world come to? Shikamaru was horrified to find himself jealous of an ancient fox. Did I really wish that I was the one underneath her? TCH. Mandukes. As Haku and Kiwabi played, Naruto looked at Zabuza. Alright, I said my part. Now it's your turn. Zabuza ran a hand through his spiky hair. Where to begin? You should know that I only knew Ni-chan for 8 years. She disappeared during the Kure bloodline purge when I was 8. We were the children of the Nidai Muzukage. You should know that the 3 of us, Tsunade, Kushina, and I, we were very close. Tsunade, I only knew her for 4 years, but I still remember her so clearly. With her blonde hair like you, and her fiery temper, she was the older, blonder version of Ni-chan. When I was 4, Azuno Kuni had a civil war. Different factions of the village revolted against the Uzumaki and defected to Konoha or Kure. Eventually, Dad was killed, and Mom, Ni-chan, and I fled to Kure. The Uzumaki clan had no idea that we were there, or surely they would have killed us as well. We were incognito for a very long time. Mom died the year after we arrived in Kure. The stress of being a single parent, losing her home, and her husband really got to her. Zabuza sighed. Ni-chan was, She was amazing. She took care of me through everything, at least for 4 years. She was a Fuinjutsu master. The Shiki Fuijin seal on your stomach is the Uzumaki clan specialty. We were all seal masters. It's in our blood, heck even I'm good at them. And for you and Haku, it should be natural. You guys are half Uzumaki after all. Naruto nodded. Yeah, Hokage Gigi told me about the Uzumaki clan being well versed with Fuinjutsu. I'm alright at it, but I'm getting better when Jiraiya Oji-san comes and teaches me occasionally. Ah, Jiraiya the Sanin. He married my cousin, didn't he? Ah, yes, Tsunade Ba-chan. Hee. Interesting. Anyway, because she was so powerful at such a young age, many people in Kure had taken notice. They either wanted to kill her or take control of her. I thought that she was killed in the raids, but clearly I was mistaken. You are the living proof of that. If the Yondaime was still alive, I would castrate him with my bare hands for violating my sister, Zabuza yelled. Somewhere on the 9th cloud in the 4th galaxy, Minato sneezed while on top of a panting Kushina. Naruto shit dropped. Even after she had died, he was still an overprotective little brother. Mama, I wouldn't be here if he didn't. Now would I? I guess you're right. But still. Anyway, after Kushina was gone, I became very depressed. I couldn't take the Uzumaki name, so I took the name Momoki. I entered the academy, and a year later, all of my friends were dead by my hand. He grimaced. To this day, I regret that. Believe me or not, but I do. I was almost 10 by this time, and the rest is history. I became one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist. The reason why I became a Nukenin was because I led a revolt against the Yondaime Mizukage. He was the one who ordered the bloodline purges, and in it I lost Haku's mother, Yoki Akira. Haku looked solemn. She knew that her father had loved her mother more than anything. Zabuza continued. Akira was from the Yuki clan. The clan had a special bloodline, one that uses wind and water to control ice. They specialize in Hyoten jutsus. So Haku has a bloodline? Shikamaru asked. Yes, and it was one of the reasons that we never settled down anywhere. Haku was in danger in Kure, and we had to keep moving so no one would find her. Zabuza eyed his daughter. She was the light of his life. He could never lose her the same way Akira had died. Naruto, what you said about Uchiha Madara controlling him. He started, gesturing at Kiwabe who sat at Haku's feet. I think that he controlled the Yondaime Mizukage as well. At this the 3 Konoha ninjas looked surprised. The Yondaime Mizukage, Yagura, was the host to the 3-tailed giant turtle. He could control his tailed beast extremely well. Rumors, very elaborate rumors were going around that Uchiha Madara was pulling the strings, and he was just a puppet. It was against him that I tried to revolt, but I was cast out of the village. The Konoha were silent at their uncle's revelation. Interesting. That's really all there is to it. You said that Konoha can offer us a home. If it can, then we will fight alongside Konoha and bring down Uchiha Madara even if it costs us our lives. Zabuza's exclamation brought a smile to everyone's faces. Under that bloodthirsty facade lay a very determined, loving, maybe that's stretching it, man. Well then, Uzumaki Zabuza, from this day on you are officially my uncle. Naruto exclaimed. Wasn't I your uncle before? He asked confusedly. Well yes, but since you have agreed to come to Konoha, now it's official. Welcome to the family, uncle, cousin. Naruto gave a foxy grin. Zabuza gave a true smile, something he hadn't done in a very long time. Haku looked at her father and grinned. Looks like his heart was growing back, and it was all thanks to her blonde cousin. Hi, this is all very touching, but now we must discuss matters slightly less important like training. I will be taking Naruto and Shikamaru to learn the basis of my own taijutsu style, Kitsune Ken. If anyone else would like to join, they are welcome to as well. Kiwabe said. I would like to join. My taijutsu has been weak compared to my ninjutsu and genjutsu. Kakashi said. I would as well. I would be honored to learn from a master such as yourself, Kiwabe-sama. Haku said. Everyone looked at Zabuza expectantly. Oh hell, I guess it's a family affair then. Kiwabe grinned. Yosh, it's settled then. From tomorrow the torture training begins. He finished in the fox version of the good guy pose, one that was still capable of bringing shivers to Kakashi. The others shit dropped. Yes, the torture would begin. After all, why wouldn't it be torture when the lovable yet sadistic oldest being on earth was teaching you? Now then, let's return to the house. The others might be getting worried, Zabuza said. A chorus of hi was heard from the rest. Asuma saw the 5 figures and 1 fox returning to the house, chatting jovially and laughing. Looks like Naruto did it again, huh? Shino also looked out the window to see a happy family. Kakashi and Zabuza were laughing at the antics of Naruto as he tried to run to the house but was stopped by Shikamaru's shadow bind. Choji and Ino smiled at their friends' happiness and decided that they would support them throughout anything. The civilians, Tarzuna, Tsunami, and Inari were pleasantly surprised to see a heartfelt smile on the face of a man who had tried to kill them. The 5 and Fox of them approached the house. They had been gone for about an hour or so. As they entered, minus the Fox, a feeling of relief overtook them. There would be no more animosity, no more unneeded killing. Zabuza stopped in front of the spectators. Everyone, I would like to introduce you to my daughter Haku, and my 3 nephews, Shikamaru, Kakashi, and Naruto. The 4 of them mock bowed to the crowd and doubled over in laughter. Asuma was amazed to see Kakashi laugh so much. Kakashi only laughed when he had his psychotic urges to go kill people, something inherited from the Hotake's side. And now here he was, laughing his heart out. What was next? He would decide to settle down with some insanely sexy kunoichi and have kids. Somewhere in Konoha, Anko sneezed while eating her dango. She looked down and saw that her precious dango was covered with snot. I'm going to mother effing kill whoever was talking about me, she yelled in a crazy rage. People inched away from her before finally disappearing in sprint. Back in Wave Country, Asuma shivered. He felt like a really sexy kunoichi was about to kill him. Hopefully it wasn't Kurenai. He had only ogled Tsunami once, for crying out loud. Kakashi stopped laughing. He then adopted his indifferent looking face. It still unnerved Asuma how quickly Kakashi could change emotions. Well, starting from tomorrow the 5 of us will be training for the upcoming battle in a family style, I guess. Yes, Gato and I had an agreement that 10 days from yesterday, we would destroy the bridge. Of course that is void right now, but appearances must be upheld. That gives us 8 days tomorrow that we can train, Zabuza added. You are their sensei, right? He asked Asuma, gesturing to the 3 other genin. Asuma nodded. Well then, while we will be training, so will you. If they know tree climbing, start them on water walking. Then, because all of them are from clans, have them practice in their clan techniques. I don't know if Gato has hired anyone else besides myself to help destroy the bridge. If he hasn't, then our job is easy, but if he has, then training is all we can do, Zabuza concluded. Actually Oji-san, Shikamaru and I can stake out the town for today. We'll be back by nightfall. Hopefully we can acquire some information. Gato and his base. Would that be acceptable? Naruto asked his uncle. Zabuza mulled it over. Alright, but take Haku with you. Naruto looked at his cousin and smiled. That would be great. Haku blushed at this. Naruto shot a sly glance at his other cousin. He was blushing as well. So it seems Mr. Tall, Dark and Handsome has an infatuation with Miss Pristine Beauty. Interesting. Yosh. Let's go guys, Naruto yelled as he took off through the treetops. Oi, mad Naruto. You are not going alone, you know. Shikamaru and Haku chased after him, begging him to slow down. Zabuza chuckled. Yep, that's the impatient Uzumaki side coming out in him, alright. So, Kakashi, mind giving your uncle some of that porn you read? Naruto, Shikamaru, and Haku entered the town within 10 minutes. Before, they had only seen it from afar in the food stands, but seeing it now brought a tumult of emotions. Rage, anger, sorrow, despair, and more. The entire population wore nothing but rags. It seemed that Tarzuna's family was relatively wealthy compared to everyone else. Children were thin and ragged, scrounging around for something to eat. As the trio entered, once again they saw the nervous looks on faces. But Naruto smiled a warm smile and some of the tension disappeared. No. Just kidding. Naruto smiled and the population cringed in fright. That brought a frown on Shikamaru's face. They didn't even know an act of kindness when they saw it. Oi, Naruto, Haku. They won't let us talk to them when we're dressed like ninjas. Civilian attire would be better. You're right, Shikamaru-kun, Haku said as Shikamaru sported a brilliant blush. Henjas would be perfect. From a nearby alley, 3 people, 2 boys and a girl, each with dark brown hair and onyx eyes, walked out and started to walk around the village. Unbridled fury rose in each of them. Gato, that bastard, he would pay for his crimes. Believe it. A group of children were hovered around a small fire off to the side of the road. Over the fire, they were roasting a very small fish that would not be enough to feed all 5 of the kids. Quickly, Naruto summoned a shadow clone and had it shushing back to the pond near Tarzuna's house to capture some more fish. Shikamaru caught on to Naruto's plan and did the same. After some time, Both of the boys' clones came back with 20 fish in their hands. Naruto walked up to the 5 children crouched around the fire. "Hey, my name's Nara Naruto. Would you like some fish?" he asked, holding 5 fish out to the children. The kids stared at the fish, then at Naruto with fright. Naruto took in their expressions with a pang in his heart. Due to his childhood, he vowed never to let another child that he came across grow up in pain. Naruto dropped his henge. This made the other boys even more scared. His eyes took on a very comforting look. He pulled the smallest of the boys towards him and sat down beside him. "Listen, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help. This headband," he said pointing to his Hittite, "signifies that I'm a ninja from Konoha. My family and we're going to help you all. So please, take the fish. I swear that soon, you'll get a lot more than just fish. That's the promise of a lifetime." He sat there after distributing the fish to the hesitant boys. With a simple katen jutsu, he got the fire roaring again. The boys started to roast the fish over the fire. Naruto stared at the other boys and gently toyed with the hair of the boy in his lap. It seemed to be relaxing all of the boys. Shikamaru smiled at his cousin's words. Haku looked at her cousin with awe. "When I hear Naruto talk, it just makes me want to believe him," she said. Shikamaru smirked at the girl. "That's Naruto's special power. He has the ability to change people with his words and his actions. When he becomes Hokage, I swear to Kami that I'll do whatever he says and be the best advisor I can be to him." Haku silently nodded her agreement. The pair then went on to check the rest of the town out. After they were done, the boys cautiously stared at the blonde before tackling him to the ground. "Naruto ni-chan, arigato." It brought tears to Naruto's eyes to see the children thanking him because of fish. The smallest boy in his lap stared at Naruto for a long time. I'm KKKNNNJI. Kanji?" Naruto asked. The boy nodded. All the other kids stared at the runt in awe. He did it. Kanji talked. "Naruto ni-chan, you're a miracle worker." Kanji never talked before. One of the boys cried. Naruto looked at the boy for a couple seconds before pulling him into a fatherly embrace. "All you needed was a little love. Use your voice, and change people," he whispered in Kanji's ear. Kanji smiled, a wide, toothy 5-year-old smile. HHAI. Soon afterwards, the 5 boys were happily munching away on their fish again. Naruto left them with a clone of his, in case anything happened. He then went to go find Haku and Shikamaru in this hench form again. "Kit, hang on. Something's coming your way. Be careful." "Thanks ni-chan." Naruto swirled around to find himself face to face with a very big, fat man. He was probably one of Gado's men. "Hey kid," the BFM figure it out called to him. "You're new here. It's protocol for each unregistered person who enters Wave Country to pay 120 ryo. If you don't have, then get out." The man had a raspy voice and spoke with a lisp. Naruto looked at him disgustedly. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw his 2 cousins approaching him rapidly. "Listen, kind sir, I don't intend to cause any problems here. Please, I don't have 120 ryo. I am simply visiting my family here and wish to see them soon. Please excuse me." With that, Naruto tried to push past the man but was stopped by a katana near his throat. This action got the attention of the townsfolk. "No kid, you listen. You're in our territory, boy, so you play by our rules." Naruto smirked at this. "Sir, technically Wave Country is between Fire Country and Water Country, meaning it is controlled by the Hokage and Mizukage. You clearly are not a shinobi, therefore you are not under a contract from either cage. I may ask you what a mercenary like yourself is doing in a peaceful civilian village." Inwardly Naruto scoffed at his own words. This was not peaceful in the least. Shikamaru and Haku smirked at their cousin's dismissal of the BFM. The man was steadily putting a tomato to shame with the color of his face. "Now listen here, brat. Either you pay, or I'll kill you and your pitiful family." A crowd gathered at Naruto's plight. Naruto considered performing a vasectomy on the BFM right this very instant. Instead, he dropped the henge. The man gaped at him for a second before scowling. "Shinobi should have known. So, why are you here? Do you want to pillage this pathetic town as well?" The townspeople shook with fear. Naruto looked at him with unrestrained hatred. "I would rather commit suicide than plunder a village filled with innocent men and women who have done absolutely nothing to anyone." "Ha! They haven't paid their dues yet. We're simply taking what's ours," the BFM told Naruto. Naruto spared one glance at the idiot. Kanashibari no Jutsu. The BFM was paralyzed. He couldn't move a muscle. The spectators watched in awe as Naruto pulled out a sealing scroll and performed a quick Fuinjutsu to seal the BFM inside of it. Naruto looked at the gathered crowd. "My name is Nara Naruto and I am just here to help you along with my family. You may not trust us, or like us, or respect us. But we promise with all of our heart and soul we will save all of you, even if it costs us our lives." With that he vanished in a pillar of flames. Shikamaru and Haku glanced at the crowd. Then they vanished in a gust of wind and a vortex of water respectively. It took Shikamaru no time at all to track his cousin. Naruto was seated in front of the BFM who was tied to a tree with ropes. Oh boy. Naruto was pissed. You could literally see the rage flowing off of him in waves. No wonder the BFM was passed out. "Oi, Naru, are you okay?" Shikamaru asked his cousin concernedly. Naruto turned to look at Shikamaru. "No Shika, I'm not." "Would you honestly be alright if you saw the state that this town was in?" "To be honest with you, I want to kill this man so bad. He's one of the people who's been helping to destroy this village." "Naruto-kun, I know you may be upset, but we do need this man alive in order to get the answers we need. After that you can do whatever you want to him, and I'll help," Haku said as she cracked her knuckles menacingly. Naruto glanced fondly at his newly acquired cousin. They would get along fabulously. "You're right Haku-chan, I'll wake the bastard up." With that, Naruto punched the man square in the jaw so as to give him a jolt. It worked. "Ugh, where am I?" the man asked groggily. He looked around to see the faces of 3 murderous teenagers staring at him. The BFM paled. "Hey now, let me go." "Oh, and why would we possibly do that when you have the answers that we want?" Shikamaru asked venomously. The man gulped. He was being faced with killing intent from 3 of the most sadistic people on earth. "Alright, I'll tell you. Just please let me go." His voice turned into a whisper. The 3 of them turned to each other. All nodded slightly. "We'll think about it," they said in unison. Haku, Naruto, and Shikamaru returned to the house some 2 hours later. It was noontime by then. Ino came out to greet them. "So how was your adventure in town?" "Fine I guess," Shikamaru replied shortly. If Ino was startled by his curt response she didn't show it. "What did you do?" "Stuff." "What kind of stuff?" "Fine stuff." Now Ino was getting mad. Before she could speak out, Kakashi came and put a hand on her shoulder indicating for her to be quiet. "How many Naruto?" Kakashi asked. Naruto looked at Kakashi. 55, he replied, his voice devoid of life. Kakashi glanced at the 3 children. They had blood on their clothes and hands. Haku's kimono was slightly torn in places while Shikamaru's mesh shirt was ripped. Naruto's navy blue undershirt was covered in a dark liquid. 3 12-year-old kids had managed to kill 55 men. It was a stomach-churning thought, yet surprisingly accepted in the life of a shinobi. 55 what? Chaoji asked, coming to meet his friends as well. There was a pause. Then, "The number of people we killed, Cho," Naruto said in a lifeless voice. Chaoji and Ino looked dumbstruck at the blonde, then at the brunette and Raven. They had killed 55 people in less than a day. Ino felt like puking at the notion that their 3 kind-hearted friends could do something so appalling. But then again they were shinobi, and killing was a part of their lives as they would soon learn. "Ni-chan, we have information that we want to discuss with everyone," Shikamaru said in a small voice. No matter how many people he had killed, it never got easier for the kid. Kakashi ruffled Shikamaru's hair affectionately. "Okay kiddo, let's go get everyone and sit together." Naruto let out a small smile when Kakashi did the same thing to his and Haku's hair. It was in these times that Kakashi played the role of big brother and eased them out of their pain, and for that they were eternally grateful. It took 5 minutes for everyone to become situated in the cramped kitchen. It was hard to do so when there were 12 people in a small room. The kids, including Inari, ended up taking the floor while the adults sat at the kitchen table. A small fox came trotting through the door and nestled itself in Naruto's lap. It seems Kawabe never went back in his seal. "Alright Naruto, tell us what's going on and why you decided to kill all those people," Zabuza said to those who hadn't heard what they had done. It was quite a shock. Naruto looked over at the other 2 who gave him a slight nod. He took a deep breath. "We went into town disguised as civilians, hoping to find out why the town was in shambles. After some time, I came across a man who demanded a small amount of money just so I could enter the town. Within minutes, I had him sealed in a scroll and shushed him to another location. Shikamaru and Haku found me, and after 5 minutes, he admitted to a heck of a lot of things." "Naruto-san, how exactly did you get this man to come clean?" Shino asked. Naruto laughed nervously. "Shikamaru and I used Morino Ibiki's favorite torture method." The 2 Jonins and Ino winced. Morino Ibiki was the resident sadist in Konoha. Even Anko didn't come close to his level of sadism. "Morino Ibiki? Who is that?" Shino inquired. "Morino Ibiki is the head of the TI department in ANBU. He likes torture a lot, And I guess that Naruto and Shikamaru have picked up some of his ahem methods. Asuma replied. A lot would be an understatement. This guy lived for torture. Yeah, we might have stuck an A into his hand when he didn't answer our questions. Shikamaru said sheepishly. The fox in Naruto's lap raised its head and looked Shikamaru directly in the eye. I'm so proud of you, kid. Kawaii projected to Shikamaru. What? You finally realized that torture is the way to go. You and Ibiki-san would get along fabulously. So after that, Haku used the hidden mist technique to completely scare the pathetic wimp into confessing the intimate details of Gato's plans. Naruto continued. Like father like daughter. Zabuza grinned a canine grin. Haku smiled warmly at her father as he rumpled her hair. Everyone else shit dropped. Naruto sure had a sadistic family. We found out things we didn't want to. Bad things. Like what they did to women and children. Naruto trailed off. Everyone except Inari knew what they were talking about, and it sickened them. I snapped, and so did Shikamaru. Haku took it a little better than us, but in the end it was her who killed the most number of those monsters. They didn't deserve to live after we saw what was going on. Those men, they raped and killed 33 innocent women and children, Naruto said. His voice shook as he continued. The man, before we killed him, he told us where one of Gato's bases was. This was the base that dealt with intercepting all goods that came way of Wave Country. It's the reason why your country is in such a bedraggled state. Naruto paused and looked at Tsunami and Tarzuna. They were absolutely furious. When we reached the base, Naruto's voice was trembling. Haku picked up where he left off. We were all in disguise. The men there never noticed us, but we noticed them. They were with the women. I just couldn't look at what they were doing. Pain. That was what those women were in. Agony, rage, helplessness. All those emotions were running through me as a girl. I couldn't imagine what those women were going through. And then it happened. Something broke inside of me. Inside of all three of us. And 5 minutes later, they were all lying dead. We had blood all over us, tainting yet purging as well. The women, they ran, but not before giving us all frightened looks and some looks of gratitude. Haku finished, eyeing her audience. The others understood why they did it. Haku couldn't go into too much detail because Inari was still in the room, but the things they must have seen in that base, they must have been disgusting for them to act in such a way. We have something else to tell you, Shikamaru said, and everyone turned his way. Gato is planning on attacking the bridge that Tarzuna-san is building in 5 days' time. That's earlier than what we expected. He's hired some guy named Aoirokusho to kill Tarzuna because he thinks Zabuza Oji-san is dead. Kakashi and Asuma exchanged looks. Aoirokusho was a low-S-rank Jonin Nukenin from Konoha. He had stolen Raijin, the blade of the Nidaime Hokage. There would be no doubt that Kakashi and Asuma could take him, but Gato could have hired more nins. They would have to start their respective training tomorrow. Kakashi looked at Naruto. Naruto, that man, Aoirokusho, is relatively strong. We need to start training right away. Also, one more thing, he has your great-uncle's sword in his possession. We have to get that back right away. It is a relic of Konoha history. Raijin? Naruto gasped. Kakashi nodded. He stole it when we were very weak. Nearly 13 years ago, if you know what I mean. Naruto frowned. So directly after the nine-tailed attack, this little idiot had decided to take the Nidaime sword, huh? Kaka-ni, no matter what, I'll get Tobirama-ji-sama sword back. I know you will, was his cousin's reply. Saving this country is in our goal at the moment. We, as your senseis, expect you to train very hard in order to beat the people who are trying to hurt it. Do you all understand? Kakashi asked the kids, deadly serious. HAI was their answer. Good. Well then, for the rest of the day, you can do whatever you want because tomorrow starts a very hard regiment, Asuma said. Everyone gulped. There was no doubting the man's words. However, it was necessary in order to beat the people who had dilapidated this town, those bastards. Tsunami broke the uneasy silence that followed. Well, I've made lunch for one and all, so let's eat. Hi, Tsunami-san. Chaoji eagerly got up and nearly sprinted to the kitchen table. The rest of them chortled as they saw their big-boned friend so enthusiastic, Shino included, though you couldn't see. Inari stayed behind and waited for Naruto to enter the kitchen before pulling on the hem of his bloodied shirt. The others discreetly looked at what was going on. Naruto looked down surprised. Ah, Inari-kun, is there something you need? He asked. Inari looked sheepishly at the ground. Oh no, I want to apologize to you. Naruto was taken aback. For what exactly? As far as I know, you haven't done anything unless you sold out your family to Gato, Naruto said in a half-serious, half-joking manner. What? No, of course not. It's just I'm sorry for doubting you, he said quietly. Naruto raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? I've only known you for less than a day, how can you doubt me? Inari gazed into Naruto's eyes. Onyx met azure. I'm sorry that I didn't trust you when you first came here. I thought that no one could beat Gato because that man killed my dad in front of the entire village. Naruto's stomach clenched. No wonder the poor kid was so cold to him when they first saw each other. To have your father be murdered in front of you, that was devastating. He cut off his arms when my dad, Kaiza, opposed Gato. Since that day I lost all hope that we can ever be saved. My dad always told me that heroes existed. After he died I cried, begged, pleaded for Kami to bring us another hero, but it never worked. When you guys came, I was dead set that there was no such things as a hero. Now I'm not so sure. What you and your cousins did for us in one day has been more than what anyone's done for us in 3 years. So I'm sorry for doubting you. Inari bowed his head low. Naruto stared at Inari for a while. He was silent as he contemplated all that Inari had told him. Kid, heroes do exist. They exist in the tiniest of forms, like blood cells that fight off infections in our bodies, saving us. Or they exist in real people like me and you. I'll let you in on a little secret. My dad and my mom died protecting me from a very evil man. The last thing they said to me was, we'll always love you, Naruto. And I was only 3 hours old at the time. I never had the love of parents growing up, but my precious people, they made up for that. My cousins, Shikamaru and Kakashi, they were always there for me when I needed the love, along with so many others. To me, they are my heroes. They saved me from the hell of growing up alone. When you have people to protect, you will grow truly strong. This is what my other cousin Haku says. And she's absolutely correct. A hero is born, not when the world is at peace, but when there is strife and turmoil. You will become a hero. Mark my words. Inari looked at him with wide eyes. He would become a hero? Naruto crouched down to Inari's level. Your dad was a hero for what he did. He died a good man. So become the hero that this village needs. What say you and I take Gato and his men down? Inari had tears in his eyes. Naruto straightened and was about to turn around when Inari flung himself on Naruto, hugging him around the midriff. Naruto's eyes widened, but then he placed his hand on Inari's head and ruffled his hair, just like Kakashi had done to him so many times in the past. Right now, the roles were reversed. Inari didn't even mind that Naruto's shirt was caked with blood. Naruto ni-chan, arigato. Inari whispered loud enough for Naruto to hear. Naruto smiled. You're welcome, Otato, he replied. In the kitchen, Tsunami and Tarzuna stared at the blonde with eyes the size of dinner plates. The girls had gasped when they heard Inari's story about his dad. Gato was truly a tyrant. He is a miracle, Tarzuna exclaimed. Never once had Inari spoken that way to anyone, let alone a stranger. What do you mean? He's just Naruto. He does this all the time. You should have seen what he did for the orphans in town today, Shikamaru said lazily. Huh, what happened? Kakashi asked. It was nothing really, Ni-chan. Don't worry about it, Naruto said, entering the kitchen with Inari. I only talked with some street kids and gave them food. Nothing at all. I'm sure whatever you did was great, Naruto. But right now, why don't the three of you go take showers, or I'll douse you with a Suiton Jutsu. You're all filthy and smell like blood, Zabuza said. Moo, I'm hungry, Oji-san. At least let us eat something, Naruto whined. Spoken like a true Uzumaki. Listen to your stomach before your senses. Well, fine, but only this time. You three stink more than a pigsty, Zabuza said. Are you sure that the Uzumaki and Akimaki aren't related? Ino asked. Chaoji looked at her, seemingly offended. He was stuffing his face with food at the moment though, so he didn't say anything. Funny that you say that. Well, actually, there is a very distant connection between the Uzumaki and Akimaki, but the relation is considered negligible, so to answer your question, not really. But then again, most clans are derived from the Uzumaki, Senju, and Uchiha clans. If it's one thing that our two clans have in common, it's the appetite, Zabuza told all of them. Chaoji, Haku, and Naruto looked at each other in awe. Well, Cho, now I know why we are such gluttons, Naruto said as he heaped his plate high with onigiri and fish. Speak for yourself, Naruto. I'm not a glutton. I just need a lot of food to sustain my metabolism, Chaoji replied with his mouth full. No, excuse me, Naruto-san. Does your fox want anything to eat? Tsunami asked. Naruto looked down surprised at his fox. Sure, why not? Naruto said hesitantly. Tsunami set down a plate full of raw fish in front of Kiwabi and gently patted his head. To those who knew who he was, They were stifling laughter at the sight of the king of Mikai being treated like an ordinary animal and enjoying it. After lunch, all was relatively quiet. Shikamaru and Naruto were using the shadows to create shapes to amuse Haku and Inari. Kiwabe had decided to return to the seal because he was sleepy from all the food. The three ninja adults were discussing future plans for the upcoming fight. Ino and Chaoji were lazing around by the lake nearby, walking on the water to improve chakra control while having a water fight simultaneously. Tomorrow would be a long tiring day, so it was best if they relaxed for one day. 4 days of intense training didn't sound very appealing. Meanwhile, in Konoha, the Sandame Hokage was reading over the documents that his only female student and Sanin had sent him. Naruto had asked him to send Mizuki's body to Tsunade and Shizune. The results were quite frightening. From the fight he had seen between Naruto and Mizuki, it seemed like Mizuki had animal DNA infused with his own bloodstream. No doubt that was due to the fact he had drank some potion concocted by Orochimaru himself, and his assumption paid off. Tsunade's analysis had said that the substance that Mizuki had ingested used some of Orochimaru's own DNA, venom, and blood, along with that of animals. Actually, it was animal chromosomes that were being used, and when those chromosomes entered the user's bloodstream, they at first mingled and seemed to enhance the user's abilities. However, the body then would try to reject the incoming blood and chromosomes. The body would think that a disease was attacking the body, and try to fend for itself. In essence, the body would attack itself, leading to an instantaneous death once the effects wore off. Naruto had said that there was snake venom in Mizuki's bloodstream, and eventually that venom would spread to the heart, causing the aorta to burst, leading to death. This was accurate for the most part. Tsunade had said that in reality, the venom would travel to all the Tenketsu points, and seal them. When the venom was mixed with Orochimaru's blood, it would become more potent. With all the Tenketsu sealed, the user would receive no chakra and have no self-healing abilities. The bursting of the aorta was just a side effect of having all the Tenketsu points sealed. It was like the Hyuga gentle fist in a bottle. Every user would surely die. It's like Orochimaru had no worries as to what happened to his test subjects. This was most disturbing information. How had his wayward student strayed from the path of righteousness so much? It's my fault. He was my favorite. I should have killed him back then. Hiruzen's thoughts consumed him. He had 3 students: the snake, the slug, and the toad. By nature, snakes and toads hate each other, while the slug tends to lean towards the toad. The toad and the slug had married, but had no children. The student of the toad, his own nephew, became the next toad and Hokage of Konoha. The new toad had married the whirlpool and given birth to the maelstrom. The maelstrom would bring about a great change in the world with his loyal shadow by his side. And so the cycle repeats itself. Without a doubt, Naruto and Shikamaru would lead the change into the next shinobi era. Those two together were a force to be reckoned with. They would bring Orochimaru down. He'd bet all of his porn on it. The next day: "Alright my wayward troops, don't stop." "That's right Haku, keep your fist out and legs bent." "No, the other way." "Ah yes." "Today begins the ultimate test of whether or not your pathetic prune-like bodies are in shape or not." "Kakashi, stand tall boy. Do not slouch, and for Kami's sake, put that damned book away." Kiwabe was a slave driver. No arguments there. Their day had started at 7 o'clock exactly. The Nara Uzumaki Hatake family was woken very violently with tiny fires lighting their hair on fire. Kitsune's had a crude sense of humor after all. Asuma was taking his 3 genins to train somewhere else. Kakashi and him had agreed on this the previous night. Breakfast was a hurried affair. Naruto, Shikamaru, and Haku had bid farewell to the others and followed a fox, Kakashi, and Zabuza out the door to a secluded area. Kiwabe had turned into his human form, which consisted of a tall frame of 6'3", 2 inches taller than Kakashi, red hair, and red eyes. He was garbed in a crimson and black cloth with the kanji of Mikai running down the back of the cloak he was wearing. All in all, he looked like the red-haired, ever version of Namake's Minato. At the moment, they had been trying to get the basics of Kitsune Ken down, but it was extremely difficult. So in light of that, Kakashi had adopted his normally lazy persona, something that was amplified while living with the Naras, and pissed Kiwabe off. Did you say something? Kakashi says, flipping a page. In response, he was met with a great blast of fire that destroyed Icha tactics. Horrified, Kakashi fell to his knees shaking. Am I precious? She's gone. Zabuza walked up to Kakashi and laid a comforting hand on the younger man's shoulder. There was nothing worse than losing the precious porn. His own daughter had pierced at least 3 copies of his book with ice senpens. He knew of Kakashi's pain, and it was not a good thought. I know how you feel, nephew. Don't let it get you down. So come on, stand up again, straighten your shoulders, and let's finish this goddamn training so you can get the extra volume you carry around out. Kakashi looked at Zabuza with tears in his visible eye. Oji-san, you truly are a man who can understand this loss. Thank you for pulling me out of my 2-minute funk. No problem, kid, Zabuza replied as he pulled Kakashi to his feet. The rest of those watching had huge shit drops on their heads. This was one messed up family. Kiwabe was the overbearing father. Zabuza was the father's younger brother who acted like a kid himself. Kakashi was the oldest brother, who had not matured since the age of 15. And the remaining 3 were the fraternal triplets who kept the family level-headed. An odd bunch who were tied together by sigma bonds. Strong standing alone, unbreakable together. That is, if Kiwabe decided that they actually needed their bodies to survive and they weren't a pile of mush by the time this torture training was complete. Just getting the basics down was difficult enough. You see, Kitsune Ken was developed by Kiwabe himself, and utilized his own original powers to make this complete. It was an offensive and defensive-based taijutsu, unlike the Goken, which was primarily offensive. Each move was more like a dance pose rather than martial arts. The body had to be very lithe and supple, which was a necessity for a ninja. Then it could be contorted to any shape. That part was the hard part. So for the past 4 hours, the 5 of them were training rigorously to achieve a proficient level in the 12 basic poses. The 12 basic poses were actually the only positions that Kitsune Ken used. But when they were combined together, new forms were made. From 12 poses, an infinite number of combinations were created, and it was for this reason that the style was so difficult to use. The training for them would most likely last for a few years or so, less if they used Cage Benshin. Naruto. Do that again. When you are transitioning from rat to pig, remember, thrust the right leg out while rolling your weight to the left, not the other way round, idiot. Then why don't you do it, smartus? Naruto grumbled under his breath. He was sweating profusely. These were possibly the weirdest positions anyone could ever come up with. Then again, it was Kiwabe who was the creator. Things were bound to be weird. Shikamaru and Haku were having similar problems. They were working on the partner stance where one person is in the ox position and the other is in the snake. The ox and the snake would complement each other to create an impenetrable form. Of course, this led to many awkward moments between Haku and Shikamaru because of their intimate positions with each other. Kiwabe was having just about enough with his pack. They were idiots. Well, except for Haku. She was a keeper. The rest of the idiotic males could go, though he wasn't too sure Shikamaru would be happy with that. Alright, stop. All of you. Just stop butchering the style that I worked so hard to create, you snot-nosed brats. The family bristled at the comment. They weren't Konohamaru's, for crying out loud. I'll work with each of you individually without choosing any clones. So Shikamaru, you're up first, boy. Everyone else just sit down. Shikamaru groaned in exasperation. He was already so tired from overexerting himself. This was all so troublesome, but he couldn't really do anything when the King of Mikai was holding a whip made out of fire ready to lash out at any time if even a toe was out of line. Troublesome indeed, my friend. The other 4 sank into the grass with welcome relief. They knew better than to make fun of Shikamaru's pitiful plight. All were nearing exhaustion. Even the veterans like Zabuza and Kakashi. Kiwabe knew that the 2 of them had better stamina than the kids, and so he had worked them nearly twice as hard as the children. Right now, they would rest while they could and worry about the state of their broken bodies later. 15 minutes later, Shikamaru appeared in a swirl of leaves. Kiwabe was behind him, a benign expression on his face. He plopped down next to Haku, beads of sweat dripping down his face and onto his now bare chest. It was just too hot to keep a shirt on. Haku appraised the teen with appreciative eyes. He certainly was quite handsome, and the coming years would make him more so. She didn't know just what to categorize Shikamaru as yet. Family? Friends? He was Naruto's cousin, as was she. He called Zabuza Oji-san just like Kakashi and Naruto did. She had these new unexplored feelings pulsing throughout her. These were feelings that cousins most certainly didn't have for each other. Time would define everything. She would just wait and see what would happen. Oi Naruto, you're next. Good luck, cousin, Because you're sure as hell going to need it. Shikamaru panted. Naruto gulped. This style was primarily meant for him. Sure, the others could utilize it, but only on a taijutsu level. Kitsune Ken, although it was called Fox Fist, was also a jutsu style as well. Not ninjutsu per se, but more like spells. Because Naruto had Kiwabi sealed in him, he would be able to use the spells that Kiwabi created and fully use the style to its full potential. Let's go, Kit. We're burning daylight here, Kiwabi said. He grabbed Naruto by the collar of his undershirt and they vanished. For the next 23 minutes, all Haku, Shikamaru, Kakashi, and Zabuza could hear was the pitiful screams of a young boy coupled with the manic laughter of a deranged fox-man demon entity. They all winced at the torture that their nephew-cousin was going through, and for once, they thanked the merciful Kami that it wasn't them in Naruto's position. Meanwhile, not far from where Naruto was, Shino, Asuma, Ino, and Choji were all training as well. Asuma had them working on increasing their reserves by standing on water or balancing on leaves. He had given them the element test as well and discovered that Shino was lightning, Choji was earth, and Ino was water. It was quite poetic actually. Lightning, silent yet deadly, the assassin type. Exactly like Shino. It comes as a flash of light and electricity, quick as a bullet, and as precise as a bullseye. Earth, immovable, large, rock. Choji practically embodied that element. His vast intake of food was due to the fact that he needed a tremendous amount of protein to maintain his metabolism. Choji was the one that would hold everyone together. He was the binding agent. Water was smooth, fluid, and constant, just like Ino. She was graceful, so much that it looked like she was dancing every time she sparred. Her personality mirrored that of water as well. At times it was calm and peaceful, while when provoked it became violent and choppy. Asuma couldn't have asked for a better team. They were his to nurture and raise, like younger brothers or sisters. He had his rock, his assassin, and his tactical analyzer Ino. She would be the one to break their enemy because of her unique bloodline. All of a sudden, the four of them heard an ear-piercing scream from somewhere beyond the woods. "Did you hear that?" Choji asked, frightened that there may be a wild animal on the loose. "Yeah, it sounded surprisingly like Naruto," Ino replied. "Naruto? The poor bastard. I hope that if it is him, he's alright," Asuma said. Shino looked on. It did sound like Naruto. What could be happening that had made someone like Naruto cry out like that? "Oh my lovely Shino-chan, you really don't want to know." The next 3 days of training went on the same way they had before. They were bloody torture, and this was Kiwabi going easy on them. Every night, they would all come home beaten to a bloody pulp. When anyone asked them what had happened, they simply replied that it was a training accident, but they all knew it wasn't. By the end of their short training session, thanks to numerous cage benchins, all 5 of them had perfected the 12 basic positions. It was contorting your body from one shape to the next that was difficult. Kakashi and Zabuza had advanced the most, partly because they were used to the taxing labor that was training. The cousins were struggling to master the first form, the dance of the crane. By nature, cranes were fast and graceful. The first form was that of controlling speed and making the body live. It was easier said than done. Kakashi and Zabuza had moved on to the next form, the rat's tail. While the previous form was about speed, the second form was about stealth. A rat had the ability to remain undetected even under the most adverse of situations. This, for any trained ninja, was the easiest of all of them. The form utilized the hidden in plain sight tactic. It was all about manipulation. The hand movements that were used in the form actually created a hypnotic mentality for the opponent. This created the invisibility-like illusion. It was highly more effective than any genjutsu because a genjutsu could be broken simply by forcing chakra out to distort the user's chakra. But there was no chakra used here, only hand motions. In the same way, the other 3 genin had had their hands full as well. Each night, if they weren't too tired, the 6 of them met and discussed what they had learned with each other. Ino was helping Shikamaru, Naru, and Haku train their bodies to be light and supple. In terms of fighting, they were more like Choji or Shino, carefully analyzing, then rushing in like a boulder. Shino and Choji were helping them improve their speed by throwing kunai at ridiculous speeds and forcing them to dodge. It was like Anko's sadistic playtime all over again, but less intense. Shino had come to Naruto asking him if he could help him improve his chakra reserves. Naruto had willingly complied and started Shino out on learning cage benchins. Cage benchins, Naruto had reasoned, was the technique of splitting your chakra reserves evenly. Once you could do a cage benshin, You could basically be two places at once. Anything that the clones would do the original would get the memories of. It killed two birds in one stone. It would increase reserves and chakra control as well. Shino had managed to get one cage punch-in out before collapsing to the ground. When Naruto had demonstrated for him, he had made 100 or so. When he asked why it was so difficult, Naruto said that the more chakra you have, the easier it is to create. So Shino had diligently gotten to work on his cage punch-ins. Just by producing one, he had increased his chakra capacity by nearly double. He was so pleased that he immediately set off to make 2 clones this time. Even Inari had taken part of some training. Haku had marked a tree with a bullseye and given Inari some kunai to throw at it. He was progressing gradually, and he was ecstatic. Haku, Shikamaru, and Naruto periodically ventured into town to see what effect destroying the base had. For the most part, security seemed to be the same. The orphans had taken an immense liking to Haku and Shikamaru as well when Naruto introduced them. Kenji, the small boy, loved Haku's lap, something that Naruto found hilarious and Shikamaru found slightly disgruntling. But now training was over. They had a battle to fight and a country to save. Naruto, Shikamaru, Haku, leave cage punch-ins here at the house in case something happens. Zabuza yelled over his shoulder. Hi. Alright everyone, gear up. Now listen, chances are, this fight won't last too long. It's 9 of us versus 1 ninja. That is if Gato hasn't hired more plus some 100 or so mercenaries. But be careful and never let your guard down. Is that clear? Asuma asked. Hi sensei, was the resonating cry. Be careful all of you. Come back here in one piece, please, Tsunami said tearfully. Tarzuna placed a hand on her shoulder and gave her a small wave. Don't worry Tsunami, with these ninja protecting me, nothing will go wrong. I assure you, Tarzuna said. Inari gave him a hug before giving all of the ninja, including Zabuza, a hug as well. Naruto Nichan, you gave me the hope that everything is going to be alright. Come home safely to us all. Don't worry Inari, we won't get hurt. That I promise of you. He placed a hand on Inari's hair and gently ruffled it. Okay, let's go. Kakashi said. Keep your senses alert folks. You never know what might happen. Asuma said. With that the 9 ninja and 1 civilian turned to look at the 2 people still standing at the house along with 10 cage punch-in. With one final wave, they were off. They'll be okay, right mama? Inari asked when they were out of sight. Of course they will darling. Of course they will. The 9 ninjas plus Tarzuna were walking at a civilian's pace. This was best for all of them, and not just Tarzuna. It would give them the chance to analyze the situation carefully and take in the most minuscule of details. The walk to the bridge would generally take half an hour, but with all the stipulations that they had to follow, it became more like an hour. The bridge would be magnificent when it was complete without a doubt. Tarzuna had tremendous talent. From what they had seen before though, it seemed like his men were deserting him left and right. More so in the past couple of days. They were getting anxious. The mercenaries were getting more and more rowdy, and there was only so much that they could do to protect their families. They would give up the best paying job in the entire village. But as of today, it would all change. At long last, they entered the bridge area. Asuma had several of his clones scouting the land ahead and behind. Pakken and the other nin dogs were doing a small recon on the places that their scent was on. Tarzuna looked at his abandoned bridge with pity. Not a single worker had showed up to their jobs. It was sad really. The others had to agree with his sentiments. Well, welcome to my bridge, Tarzuna whispered. All was quiet, as was to be expected at 8:32 in the morning. But it was too quiet, eerily quiet, shinobi quiet. Everyone was on guard. This man, Rokusho Aoi, was not to be underestimated. He would come, no doubt for Kakashi or Asuma because they had once served as fellow Konoha together. Guys, I've got something. A small platoon of roughly 33 men is approaching. They haven't had contact with any of my clones yet. Stand guard. Shino, Haku, guard Tarzuna. Naruto, frontal assault along with Kakashi. Ino, Shikamaru, Chaoji, stop anyone who comes this way. Background now. Asuma commanded. Myself and Zabuza will assist Naruto and Kakashi. Hi. Quickly. They got into their positions. Adrenaline rushed through the children's veins. It would be the chance to test out their training skills. And then they came, in 3 regiments of 11. 33 men with Rokusho Aoi leading them, rage in hand. Naruto growled at seeing his great uncle's sword in the hand of the traitor. Kakashi put a restraining hand on his cousin's shoulder to prevent him from doing something rash. Naruto relaxed ever so slightly. Aoi analyzed his opponents with a disdainful eye. Hate Kakashi, the infamous copy Nin along with Sarutobi Asuma, the son of the Hokage himself. And then there was Momoki Zabuza and his bitch of an accomplice. They had switched over, eh? But how had they known that Aoi and his group would attack now? Zabuza was informed that the attack would happen 5 days from now. Did they actually think that 9 ninja who had to guard a liability Tarzuna could win? Well, not on his watch. He then saw what he thought were 2 Yamanakas, an Abraham, a Nara, and an Uzumaki. The bridge builder was guarded by the bitch in the Abraham. Well, what do we have here? Nani Zabuza-kun, you were alive and never told us, eh? And now you're working for the other side? How much are they paying you? I'm sure we had a more enticing offer for you. Aoi taunted. Zabuza growled. Don't attack him yet. He's just trying to rile you up. I'm sure you did too, Rokusho. But what can I say? This side just seems so much more comforting. If you know what's best for you, go home. You can't win against us, no matter how many mercenaries you bring. Don't fuck with me, traitor. I'm not the only shinobi that Gato hired. They aren't as skilled as I am, but they are more than enough to take care of the pathetic genin that you have with you. Aoi retorted. Naruto's fury was increasing with every increasing second. That bastard was waving his ancestor's sword around like he owned it. Your skill is nothing to praise, Rokusho. The only reason why you are labeled as an S-rank nukenin in the bingo book is because you have that sword in your hands. How dare you desecrate Konoha history? Aoi scoffed. You lousy meddling Yamanaka. Clearly the shinobi title is all a game to you. It's either kill or be killed. This is reality, boy. I can do whatever the hell I want, even if it means leaving my village to attain my goals. Naruto gazed at the man disgustedly. First of all, I'm a Nara, not a Yamanaka. Secondly, you pledged an oath to Konoha. That oath cannot be broken. Leaving your village is the highest of all treason, and the punishment is death. A blonde Nara, eh? Well, there's a first for everything, I suppose. And I couldn't give a damn about the hidden leaf. They haven't given me a goddamn thing. For all I care, the second coming of the Kiwabi could happen and destroy Konoha, and I won't bat an eyelash. I'm gonna fucking murder this asshole. Naruto, let me out. Kiwabi screamed mentally. You always taught me that patience was a virtue. So just wait a bit. Do what you want, but make a bloody mess out of him. I'll help. Oh, don't worry, I will. Well, that's not going to happen anytime soon, so the leaf won't be destroyed, Asuma says, glancing at Naruto, who gave him a wry smile in return. Not yet, at least. Do you know how many nations are itching to destroy the leaf? Iwa is one, for obvious reasons, and Kumo seems neutral, but you never know. I heard about this new one called Odo. It seems to really hate you guys, Aoi said snidely. Odo? That's the one that Mizuki Tem went to and came out of all loony. Orochimaru? Naruto thought. Kakashi looked at Aoi surprised. Why the hell are you telling us that? Aoi smirked. Ha, well, consider it a present. You'll die with the knowledge of knowing why your village is going to be demolished. The others scoffed at him. You have the gall to think that you and some weak shinobi can kill us? Don't fuck with us, man, Chaoji said. He was also getting irritated by this idiot. We'll see about that, Uzumaki. We'll see. But enough talking. It's time to kill. Aoi made some quick hand motions and 30 or so shinobi, all sporting Iwa headbands, appeared. Kill them now, Aoi roared, and the fight began. Shino and Haku took defensive positions around Tarzuna. Naruto and Kakashi readied themselves for the frontal assault, while the rest spread themselves out to back up Naruto and Kakashi and help stop anyone who tried to reach Tarzuna. Kakashi lifted his headband up to reveal the reason why he was so feared in the elemental nations. The Sharingan spun wildly, making some of his opponents cringe because of the fact that they were fighting the Sharingan no Kakashi. Zabuza hefted Kubakiri Hucho onto his shoulder, preparing to wield it. Asuma got out his trench knives that he fused with wind chakra, making them cut through anything. The two sides rushed at each other in a frenzy. Blood, crimson liquid spattered on the shinobi's clothing as they viciously killed, leaving no survivors. The mercenaries were armed with only axes and knives. They were trying to hack their way through the shinobi forces. Ino used shuriken to hit 2 of the fatal pressure points on an incoming shinobi. He crumpled to the ground silently. Furious, 2 of his comrades ganged up on the poor girl. But Ino was not a poor girl. Oh no. Yamanaka Ino was the daughter to the head of the Yamanaka clan. She was the badass girl of the academy, even if only a few people knew that. Shikamaru. Bind them now. There was a reason as to why Shikaku, Inoichi, and Chauza were all on the same team so long ago. Shikaku would restrain, Inoichi would confuse, and Chaozu would crush them all. Shikamaru had just killed off an opposing mercenary. He immediately understood Ino's request and put his hands in the rat seal. Kage Kubi Shibari no Jutsu. Shadow neckbind technique. The men froze in place. My neck can't breathe. One of the men choked out. Ino gave a quick thanks to Shikamaru and thrust kunai into their heads. She breathed out heavily. It wasn't that she was tired or anything. It's just taking your first kill is mentally taxing. Thanks Shika. It helped a lot. Ino said. No problem Ino. Oh, and by the way, it's best if you let it out after the fights. Naruto and I like to go into the forest of death and kill some of the giant spiders. It gets better over time. Trust me. Ino smiled at her surrogate brother, Arigato. And then she went on attacking the others who all just seemed to love her so much that they wanted to kill her. Shino and Haku had to guard a terrified Tarzuna from 5 oncoming Iwa ninjas. Haku-san, I think now would be a great time to use your bloodline, Shino said panting as he fended off attacks. I couldn't agree with you more Shino-san, Haku replied. She took a deep breath and gathered the water and wine necessary for the jutsu. Ikuzo, Makyo, Hayasho, demonic ice crystal mirrors. All of a sudden, the 5 ninjas were surrounded by mirrors. Oi, try using a Captain Jutsu or something. It's just ice, it'll melt. One of the Iwa shinobi told his comrade. Yash. Katten, Gokaku no Jutsu. Fire release. Great fireball technique. The burst of fire immediately dissipated in the mirrors. Nani, that should have worked perfectly. Then why? The creator of the jutsu cried. It's impossible to break my mirrors. Came a disembodied voice. The Iwanin whirled around, trying to find the owner, but to no avail. Instead, they were hit with a barrage of senbons. What the hell? Did you see that? Hang on. There she is. One of the Iwanin had 7 senbons protruding from him. Where? There. In that mirror. Doten, Doriwuden. Earth release. Earth Dragon projectile. The Earth Dragon bounced off of the mirrors and the mirrors remain undamaged. What kind of jutsu is this? It's impossible to pierce. Another round of senbons came flying at them from nowhere. Did you idiots not listen to me? My jutsu is impossible to beat. Why waste your time? The disembodied voice said once again. This time, the Iwa shinobi saw the girl move from one mirror to the next. They tried to pierce her with their kunai, but she was too fast. Kyuso. What should we do Jishin? The man named Jishin swiftly avoided some more senbons. I'm not sure Hanataro. There has to be some weakness here we can exploit, right? We just have to dodge those damn senbons some more. Even if you're hurt now, don't worry. She's going to run out of senbon pretty soon. Haku sighed. Why didn't they understand that there was no way out? She had to end this. Shino was defending Tarzuna by himself. Do you really think that I intend for myself to run out of senbon? I think not. Take this. Kage senbon no jutsu. The men paled as thousands of senbon came hurtling towards them. They couldn't escape in time. There were too many to dodge. Haku had a look of satisfaction, the same one Zabuza had when he killed someone he particularly disliked. Then men all fell to the floor with senbons protruding from their bodies. Every senbon had pierced vital tenketsus. They were dead. She quickly got rid of the mirrors and saw Shino standing there, bloodied and battered with Chaoji by his side, protecting Tarzuna. Shino-san, Haku cried out, killing off another offending shinobi. I'm fine, Haku-san. Really? These are just scratches. Shino was pale and bleeding profusely from a wound on the side of his leg. But the sheer amount of determination in the boy's eyes mirrored that of Naruto. Haku grimaced at him but let him be. She gave Chaoji a look, and they both began attacking once more. Simultaneous cries of Kage Nui could be heard from 2 opposite sides of the bridge. Naruto and Kakashi were currently blocking off blows from 10 Iwa shinobi as well as another 7 or so mercenaries. Even if the mercenaries couldn't choose jutsus, it didn't mean that they couldn't hurt the cousins either. Naruto and Shikamaru had the task of binding the oncoming mercenaries shinobi while Zabuza, Kakashi, and Asuma killed them off. The situation couldn't get any worse. Every time they killed off shinobi, more would appear because Aoi would keep calling platoons in. It was infuriation to no end. Everyone was feeling the pinch, even the older shinobi. Haku had several tears in her kimono along with some cuts lining her back from when she was caught unexpected. Ino had similar injuries and she looked like she was suffering from chakra depletion. Chaoji and Shino had nasty gashes on their legs and arms from a particularly vicious Iwa Nin, Shikamaru and Naruto were mentally exhausted, but physically better off than the rest of them. They had avoided the brunt of the damage, escaping with some minor bruises, but they had also killed the most people. It was not a very happy occasion. Kakane, Naruto yelled as yet another wave of shinobi came in. I know, Naruto. Don't worry though. I haven't chosen Raikiri yet and you haven't chosen Rasengan. We'll be fine. Kakashi reassured Naruto, although he was starting to feel apprehensive himself. Hey, it's them. It's those two. The Densetsuke's Cage no Kyoto. They have a bounty of 5 million ryo. One of the new Iowa ninja shouted. There were about 15 or so new shinobi. They all turned towards Naruto and Shikamaru. Aoi himself was surprised at that. He hadn't looked in his bingo book recently. So those Nara brats were actually in the bingo book? Well, it seems as though Konoha wasn't so worthless after all. Ah, Chuso, I can't take this anymore. Ninpu. Kirigakure no Jutsu. Zabuza's patience had grown thin after killing the first 50 or so Iowa nin. The damn cockroaches kept coming back. A thick mist covered the area, blinding the offending shinobi. Kakashi had his Sharingan open and faintly saw Zabuza charge into the abyss. Howls and yells were heard all throughout the enemy's position. What was that? Yelled Ino. That is my father's prized attack. It covers the area in a thick fog so no one but him can see what's going on. He is, after all, the master at silent killing, and this is the prelude to that. Haku explained with a slight smile on her face. Shino shivered a bit. Naruto had a dangerous and powerful was watching all of this in grim fascination. So this is the life of a shinobi? How do they keep their sanity intact? A few seconds later, the fog cleared. All of the shinobi lay dead. Aoi watched in contempt. Zabuza hadn't even aimed for him. Was he that worthless? There. You're welcome, by the way, Zabuza says, panting. Holy shit, man, that was bloody awesome. Naruto shouted. His uncle had just taken 15 shinobi down moments. It was badass. But then again, all Uzumakis are badass. Believe it. Thanks, Naruto. But we got more trouble coming, Zabuza said, pointing something coming their way. At this point, Haku, Chaoji, Shino, and Ino could not fight anymore. They were worn out, depleted of chakra, and bloody. That was not a good combination. They had to protect Tarzuna, no matter what the cost. Aoi couldn't believe this. Those 9 ninja had taken at least 100 shinobi down, plus an additional 60 mercenaries or so, and 6 of them were under the age of 13. Unbelievable. Up until now, he had merely been an observer, seeing what his forces could do. Gato had given him orders not to attack unless he was forced to. The people coming to aid him were the last of his resources. Iowa had lent out 125 of their shinobi forces when Gato had approached them with this task of killing Zabuza. Gato was well versed in shinobi matters, well, shinobi politics that is. All he had to do was mention that killing the bridge builder would destroy any potential alliances between Konoha and Kiri, and the Tushikage was sold. Aoi stopped the shinobi force approximately 200 feet from the rest of them. How many? 23, sir. And Iwanin quickly replied. Any more coming? Aoi asked impatiently. No, we are the last batch. Speaking of which, where are the others? Dead, was Aoi's curt reply. The Iowa shinobi quaked. How was it possible that the 9 grimy, filthy, worn-out shinobi in front of them killed 102 of their allies? Could they win? Would they win? And at one cost? Aoi saw their apprehension. Listen to me. Do you see those 2 boys? One with the blonde hair and the brunette next to him? Their names are Nara Naruto and Nara Shikamaru, also known as the Densetsuke's Cage no Kyodai. They were the ones who killed Iowa shinobi 4 years ago. Are you going to let them slander the name of Iowa anymore? Or are you going to kill the fiends who led to your comrade's demise? Now this riled the Iowas up. They shot glances at the 2 exhausted boys who were watching them with wary eyes. The brats would die, along with the pesky bridge builder. No exceptions. The Konoha, including Zabuza and Haku, watched the gathered crowd apprehensively. There were 23 new shinobi, plus a fully powered Rokusho Aoi. The odds were not looking too good for them. Of course, Naruto still had the Kiwabi or summons as tricks up his sleeve, but those would consume tons of chakra. He had a little more than half of his chakra left. Shikamaru, Zabuza, and Kakashi had less than that. If Kakashi was to use his Raikiri right now, it would limit him to 20% of his chakra. Plus a Sharingan was out, meaning it was consuming his chakra even quicker. As of right now, Naruto was probably the best choice to fight Aoi head-on. Shikamaru looked back at Haku through his peripheral vision. She was drenched in sweat and panting heavily. One hand was holding on to Shino while the other was on her knee, as if she was resting. He spared a glance at everyone with her, except for Tarzuna. They were all in about the same state. Naruto, you're the one who's going to be fighting now. I'll help you, but for our sakes, please end this quickly. Kaiuni, can you please set up the mental link again? Naruto thought. Sure thing, Kit. Give me a second. Arigato. Sure enough, a few moments later, Naruto felt the flowing tendrils of his subconscious reach the minds of those who shared his blood. Haku, Zabuza, Kakashi, and Shikamaru stiffened when they felt Naruto's abyss of a mind touch their own. Listen, if you can hear me then it's fine. I know all of you are exhausted with Haku being the worst off. I know that we can kill of the Iwa Shinobi. Haku, you, Shino, Ino, and Chaoji need to rest. No question about that. The rest of us will take care of everything. In the end, I'll fight Aoi and take Raijin back while Zabuza Oji will kill Gato if and when he arrives. Naruto's thoughts were projected into all of their minds. They gave each other looks of affirmation at his plan. Will do, Naruto. But please, for Kami's sake, be careful and do not do anything reckless. Kakashi thought. Love you to Aniki. Naruto chortled. Naruto, it's time we end this once and for all, don't you think? Zabuza said into the mental link. He had been surprised at first, but then he recounted their first encounter. It was quite fascinating. Naruto sure was the most surprising ninja on the battlefield. Well, Zabuza, you ain't seen nothing yet. I agree, Oji-san. After we kill the shinobi, me and Aoi will go head to head. Taking on an S-rank nin is not exactly what this mission entailed, but I'll do it. Trust me. I need you and Shikamaru to protect Tarzuna, because the mercenaries might be back. Alright, kiddo. Don't worry, Zabuza said. Don't worry, Naru. I got this. Shikamaru thought back to him. Yosh. Now that everyone knows the plan, just sign it to Asuma ni, Naruto said, and he broke the connection. Asuma learned about the plan from Kakashi. He agreed with it. Asuma would be there to back Naruto up in case the fight with Aoi got ugly. Now they would have to see what the opposing side was up to. Meanwhile, back at Tarzuna's house, Tsunami and Inari were enjoying a relatively peaceful lunch with the 10 clones that Haku, Shikamaru, and Naruto had left behind. All of a sudden, they heard noises coming from outdoors. Tsunami-san, stay here with Inari and get on the floor. I'll cover you with a genjutsu, Haku told the woman. Tsunami was scared, as was Inari, but they trusted the young ninja. Bibantekina Inpei no Jutsu. Partial concealment technique. The air around the two shimmered and it looked like nothing was on the floor. One Haku, one Shikamaru, and one Naruto went out to greet the intruders. The intruders turned out to be 2 mercenaries. The mercenaries saw the kids coming out of the house. They had no idea that these were the same children who had destroyed their base and killed 55 of their comrades. Oi, do you know if that bridge builder lives here? One of them asked. Bridge builder? No, I'm sorry. We live here alone with our uncle Takashima, but he's gone out to the market at the moment. We just moved here and don't really know anyone at the moment. Shikamaru lead with a lazy expression. Typical Nara. The 2 idiots looked at each other for a minute. Well, fine. But this is what the bridge builder looks like, one said, pulling out a photo. If you see him, tell him that we have some complaints with his bridge. He knows where to find us. Yes sir, we understand. Thanks. Goodbye, Haku said. Have a nice day. The other mercenary replied. They turned around when they heard a voice. You might not be ninja, but a fighter should always learn to look underneath the Futen, Daitapa. It was Naruto's voice that resonated throughout the area. Before they could even turn around and draw their swords, the ripping wind cut through them like they were butter. Usually, Futen, Daitapa is a C-ranked wind jutsu, but because of Naruto's unnatural control of the wind, it is amplified to the point where the technique is a blade of wind, capable of cutting through anything, much like Asuma's trench knives. It's over, the Naruto clone said resolutely. TCH. Troublesome, but no, it's not. More will come, perhaps not here, but they will. The situation is getting out of hand. All of our bosses are fighting, and from what I learned when one of boss's cage pensions was dispelled, Haku's boss is seriously injured. All of our comrades are injured for that matter. We are only reinforced clones. If we dispel ourselves right now, boss and the others will get more chakra, but then we leave Tsunami and Inari unprotected. We are in a pinch, the Shikamaru clone said with a frown on his face. Clone Haku sighed. What do you propose we do? Listen, without a doubt Naruto will fight that Aoi guy. Since he's most likely the leader of whatever forces attacked our bosses and the others, He'll fight the last. Do you see where my reasoning is going? Clone Shikamaru asked. I understand. Aoi will fight my boss when all of his troops are close to gone, right? Clone Naruto concluded. Exactly. So what we have to do is gather the townspeople. Chances are Gato will come at this time. From what we've gathered, some of the townsfolk are experienced fighters. Having them on our side wouldn't hurt. Clone Shikamaru said. Excellent. We should get started right away then, shouldn't we? Clone Haku asked. We should. Ikuzo. And so the three of them went back into the house, disregarding the bodies of those that Naruto had killed. Inari, Tsunami had a lot of work to do. In order to save Nami no Kuni, their plan had to be perfect. The bridge, enemy lines. Do you understand why we must win? Iwa always comes out on top. The blonde even looks like that bastard the Yondaime Hokage. Killing him will mean that we are one step closer to destroying Konoha. So fight. Fight for Iwa, fight for pride, and most of all, fight for yourself. Am I clear? Aoi shouted the last bit. HAI. Well then what are you waiting for? Let's go. War cries were heard as the shinobi charged, all with the intent to kill the bridge. Our side unless you like the Iwanians. Here they come. Naruto, Kakashi, Shikamaru, Zabuza-san. Hold them off. I'm going to see the kids. Naruto, I'll come once Aoi starts fighting. Asuma cried. Understood Asuma-ne. Naruto shouted over the roar of the oncoming shinobi. Naruto, use my strength as well. It'll go a lot faster. Kiwabe added his 2 cents in as well. I would, but it'll take a lot of chakra. Summon me. It'll be easier and your comrades won't get hurt. I'm not sure. Do it, boy. Alright, fine. Oimina, there's been a change in plan. Stand back now. Naruto roared. Naruto, what the hell? Kakashi shouted. Suddenly, a gust of wind pushed Zabuza, Kakashi, Shikamaru, and Asuma back. I'm sorry guys, but this is the fastest way. Naruto apologized. The older ninja made to stop him, but Shikamaru held them back. By this time, Haku and the other genin plus Tarzuna had joined them. What's going on? What is Naruto doing? Ino asked frantically. Naruto plans to summon him and finish this quickly. He's doing us all a favor, so recuperate for now. Shikamaru explained. Everyone except Shino understood immediately. Poor guy. But he'll be wasting his own chakra, Zabuza said in indignation. Compared to all of us, Naruto has the most chakra, he'll get by. Shikamaru said firmly. They had to trust Naruto. That idiot. I swear, he's so rash sometimes. Kakashi said sighing. YOSH. Today let me show my flames of youth to you Iwa shinobi. Naruto's exclamation made all of the fighters stop and drew sweat drops from all of the Konoha shinobi. Mato guy, what exactly did you do to him? But this was Naruto's goal, to distract the oncoming shinobi so that he could perform the summoning. Quickly, he bit his thumb and did the hand seals. Kakios no jutsu, Kiwabe no Katsune. A plume of smoke covered the R, confusing all of the shinobi. It was much like Zabuza's Kurigakure no jutsu. WWH. What the hell is that? One of the Iwanian cried out. Aoi stood there with slight fear etched onto his face. Did the Gaki just say Kiwabe no Katsune? What the hell was going on? Who was this kid? From the smoke, emerged a figure so perfect, he could only be described as beautiful. His flowing red hair swirled around him in 9 perfect locks. His tan skin clashed with the red and black of his cloak. The kanji formikai ran down his back. Yo Naruto, I'll take care of these small fries. You take of the bastard with the sword, Kiwabe said as he took his stance. Red malevolent chakra formed around him. Everyone in the area felt the absolutely evil aura surrounding the man. The Iwanans cowered in fear. Okay, Kayuni, just please, don't make that much of a mess, Naruto told the being inhabiting his body. Kiwabe just smirked at the boy. Ha, Kitsune bai. A red ball of something covered the oncoming shinobi. The poor bastards never had a chance against the king of hell. He was after all, the most powerful being in the world, besides Kami that is. Or so she claimed. After all, what sister would not want to be stronger than her idiot twin brother? Shock was not the word to describe everyone besides Naruto. Awe, fear, reverence. Perhaps those were the words. Yar yar, such small flies, not even fitting to be on my menu. What the hell did Naruto summon? Shino asked incredulously. You pretty much answered it right there, Shino. He summoned the king of hell, Kakashi said. TCH, why hadn't he done this before? Oh yeah, because Kakashi thought that it would deplete Naruto's chakra too much. Well, that clearly was not the case. But how? Shino whispered. How could a mere human summon that? That, my friend, is something Naruto will tell you himself. It's not our place to do so. Chaoji answered him. Oi, You idiots in the background. Why the hell didn't you use the stances I taught you? You would have eliminated them with one blow. They sweat dropped. It's quite hard to do so when you're under pressure, you know, Shikamaru stated. So that was who you learned a family style from? Asuma asked disbelievingly. The fucking king of hell taught you guys? Is that a problem? Kakashi asked indifferently as Kiwabi walked over to the rest of them. Asuma and his genin were extremely wary of the man-beast demon fox. Chaoji and Ino only had seen him in his fox form, and he seemed harmless there. But now, it really put things into perspective for them. Naruto had this being dwelling in him. Yo, Kiwabi said as he sat down next to Kakashi. He gazed up at the sky to look at the clouds. Ah, it sure was relaxing to do so. No wonder the Nara clan was so lazy. One could do this all day and not get bored. But alas, others just wouldn't understand the joys of cloud gazing. Yo yourself, why aren't you helping Naruto out? Shikamaru asked him. Asuma and his genin stared at Shikamaru like he had grown two heads. If this was the king of hell, then what would he do to Shikamaru for talking to him like that? Even though Ino, Asuma, and Chaoji knew who exactly Kiwabi really was, it was extremely frightening to see said being in action. His fox form was adorable and cute. His true form was another story. But to their surprise, Kiwabi giggled. Yes, the king of hell giggled. To tell you the truth though, his giggle was probably the equivalent to Orochimaru's kukukus, so it wasn't a pleasant giggle. It was more of an evil giggle. But enough about the giggles. They're not that important. Or are they? Don't worry, Naruto will be fine, plus he has you all to back him up if the need arises. If you do interfere without his help though, he'll probably kill you. Don't interfere in his battle, no matter how much he gets his ass kicked, if that's the case that is. But he's Naruto Konoha's #1 most unpredictable ninja. If I taught him anything, it's to improvise when all else fails, Kiwabi told them confidently. They all glanced at Naruto. He and Aoi seemed to be staring each other down. The fight had not begun yet, but it would. Ino had to ask this question to Kiwabi. Ano, exactly how much have you taught Naruto? Kiwabi swiveled around to face her. She cowered slightly. This was not the fox that cuddled in her lap. This was the being that destroyed Konoha. Not much really. His other teachers had been more than enough till now. I taught him the basics of fighting. His real training from me begins now. He's 12, and ready to finally learn from me. But enough talking, the fight's about to begin. Let's sit back and relax for now, Kiwabi said. Indeed, Naruto and Aoi had not begun to fight yet. Naruto knew that Aoi would make the first move. His stance suggested so. Aoi had things he wanted to clear up, starting with the thing that the boy had summoned to slaughter his forces. To say Aoi was pissed was the understatement of the year. He had the entire thing planned out, from beginning to end, and then the boy just has to go and ruin it. Never before had he wanted to kill someone so much. Oi Gaki, Aoi began. Naruto bristled in annoyance. The only one who could call him Gaki and get away with it was Jiraiya. Nani, how is it that you could summon the Kiwabi no Kitsune? That is, if I heard you correctly, Aoi asked him. At this, everyone stiffened. So Aoi had heard Naruto. That wasn't good. No, now more than ever, Aoi needed to be killed. The secret of Konoha's trump card couldn't be let out, no matter what the cost. Shino looked at the thing in front of him. Kiwabi no Kitsune? No, it couldn't be. Could it? What's it to you? Naruto retorted. He just wanted to fight, not talk about some rather personal details. Ah, nothing really. Just a curious. And he was, really curious. Sorry, but I don't really feel like talking about that. Let's just say me and him have an agreement of sorts. Naruto was relieved that Aoi hadn't figured out that he was the vessel for the Kiwabi. But he had to question the man's intelligence. Who else except the Jinchuriki of the Kiwabi would have the power to summon him? Excluding Madara, of course. Suka. Well then, I guess it's pointless to talk anymore. Aoi readied raging in an unfamiliar form. That's the most sensible thing you've said today. Naruto drew out a scroll from a compartment in his pants. He smeared some of his blood onto it. A katana, crafted by the best blacksmith in Azuno Kuni, popped out. It had been Uzumaki Kushina's, and it was Naruto's way of honoring the woman who was his mother. Back with the spectators. The boy has a sword? Zabuza asked, his fascination with Naruto growing. Yes. And it was the same one that his mother, your sister, wielded. Uzumaki Kushina was one of the best swordsmen that we had, and her talents been passed on to Naruto? Kakashi answered, It looks like swordsmanship in the blood, eh? Zabuza commented, Haku, you're next. Haku gave her father a disgruntled look. Let's focus on his fight, Dad. And talk was effectively over. Aoi and Naruto. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto's signature move popped out 3 clones. You all know what to do. Let's go. The clones and Naruto moved in synchronization. The 3 Kage Bunshin served as distraction. Naruto had 4 eyes that were exploiting every blind spot Aoi had. It was what made this style so complicated to break. Any Konohanian who knew Gekko Harid would know the style. Aoi tried to fend off attacks from the clones, but he couldn't. The clones gave him no opening. Aoi kept getting cut by Naruto and his clones. He had to draw Raijin out, but this style was truly genius. He knew this Kenjutsu, Mikazuki no Mai dance of the crescent moon. So the brat had studied with Gekko Harid. What's this? You're getting beaten by a 12-year-old. That Raijin doesn't really do anything to your power, you know. Naruto taunted. His clones were still attacking, but Aoi was gaining some ground on him. Aoi's movements were becoming faster and he was parrying more attacks from Naruto. Oh boy, that's where you are wrong. The Raijin does give me a tremendous power boost. After all, it's not called the Sword of the Thunder God for no reason, right? The sword in his hand glowed a magnificent golden, illuminating the area in a halo of light. But they realized that it wasn't light, it was lightning. The sword gives me control over the element of lightning. It seems as though the Nidaime Hokage was good for something. Aoi swung the sword and bolts of lightning ripped the Naruto clones apart. Aoi dashed forward quicker than Naruto could react, slicing his arm open. And right now he didn't even have Kiwabi in him, so his healing abilities were slower now without that direct link of Kiwabi's chakra. Naruto cursed. He forgot all about the Raijin's abilities. Crap. Mikazuki no Mai was out of the question then, and here he thought that he could show off some sword skills to his uncle. It would have to wait. He sealed his mother's sword back into his scroll and put his Nara mind to work. Hang on. Naruto had wind chakra, Raijin was lightning. Naruto smirked. Lightning was weak against wind, and appears Aoi had forgotten this. Naruto had the advantage here, and he was going to make full use of it. 200 feet behind him, Shikamaru also smiled. Naruto's gonna win this. Except for Kakashi and Kiwabi, the others looked at him like he was crazy. Wind versus lightning. Who wins? Was his response to their faces. And then the others understood. Lightning loses against wind. Naruto was going to emerge victorious. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto cried again. Aoi scoffed. Don't you see, it's useless to make those clones. Actually it's not. Let's go. Alpha, Beta, Gamma. Wind formation now. Hi. The clones cried out. They formed a triangle around the real Naruto. Alpha, Futen 1, Beta, Futen 2, Gamma, Futen 3. The 3 clones readied themselves with a proper handshills. Futen, K's no Senbon. Alpha cried. A wave of wind Senbons attacked Aoi, who tried to deflect it with his blade that was crackling lightning. But to his surprise, the lightning blade did nothing to parry the attacks. What the hell? Aoi cried as he was cut numerous times by the wind Senbons. Futen, K's no Yeba. Beta yelled. The clone's arm was transformed into a sword of wind and charged at Aoi. Alpha had used a pretty mediocre C-rank jutsu to distract Aoi from Beta's attack. Aoi's midriff now sported a huge gash that spurted out blood. Chuso, take this. Katen, Kyuden, a dragon made out of fire, decimated Alpha. Of course, fire was strong against wind, but still, Aoi had taken quite a beating from Naruto's clones. Mada Gamma, go now. The real Naruto yelled from the center of his now 2-clone protective unit. Osu, Futen, Kamikaze. The wind turned into small twisters around Aoi, who managed to dodge all of them except for one. He was knocked flat on his back with lacerations covering every inch of his body. Raijin had now lost all of its lightning thanks to Naruto's devastating winds. How the hell did Naruto dispatch an S-rank nin? Chaoji asked, his eyes wide open. Shikamaru sighed and looked up at the sky. To tell you the truth, what Naruto said in the beginning of this fight is true. Without Raijin, Aoi is nothing. At most he would be a B-rank missing nin. The reason that we thought he would be dangerous is because he would have so many mercenaries to back him up, and we were right. So in reality, I could have done the same too, but Naruto just has more chakra. Just what exactly are you two? Ino asked in awe. Kiwabi answered before Shikamaru could talk. The blonde and brunette idiots are my subordinates who never seem to take my advice. And the silver-haired one? He's the leader of the idiots. For example, if they had actually used anything that I spent 3 days teaching them, this fight never would have happened. Why? Because my style of fighting is foolproof. Not even that green spandex freak could beat my style. But no, they don't use it, and because of that they're all sitting here wallowing in sorrow because they have no more chakra left. Well, boo-hoo. This is due to the fact that you don't utilize the tools that you are provided with, idiots. Everyone was sweating bullets at the amount of pure annoyance Kiwabe was letting off. Shikamaru and Kakashi inched closer together while Kiwabe glared daggers at them. "I'll forget it." Well, it seems Naruto was going to end this anyway. Naruto walked up to Aoi, who was on the floor writhing in pain, and crouched down next to him. "If you hadn't left Konoha, you wouldn't really be in this predicament now, would you?" Naruto snarled at the man. Aoi stared at the face above him. Those 3 lines on both of his cheeks. Now Aoi remembered him. No wonder he could summon the Kiwabe no Kitsune. You are the V vessel to the Kyuubi. Uzumaki Naruto. Aoi's speech was staggered and broken. In all honesty, it was amazing that he had survived for so long after taking Wenjutsu's head on. "Indeed I am, sir, but my name is Nara Naruto, not Uzumaki." "But really, it took you that long to figure out that I was the Kyuubi vessel? Honestly, am I really that easy to forget? Granted, you did leave when I was probably 6 months old. Oh, and by the way, I would really appreciate if you gave me my great-uncle's sword back. It's kind of a family heirloom, and Tsunade-Bachan would probably be pissed if I didn't take it away from a traitor when I got the chance." Aoi's eyes widened. He was related to the Nidaime Hokage? That wasn't possible. They weren't told anything about the demon container other than the fact that he was to be given the last name of Uzumaki. It just wasn't possible that he was related to any of the Hokages or Sanins. Naruto smirked at the dying man's stunned expression and lifted Raijin out of his grasp. Without a word, he turned away from Aoi and walked back to his group of friends and family. He looked over their bloodied and bruised bodies and winced. His own wound was nothing compared to what they had received. "Naruto, Aoi's not dead, you know." Kakashi deadpanned. Naruto scratched the back of his head sheepishly. "Gomen Gamma, come." His clone appeared at his side right away. "Boss, go stand by Rokusho's side." "Hi." The clone vanished in seconds only to materialize near the traitor's head. "Oi Naruto, are you really going to use that?" Shikamaru asked his cousin. "Why? What's wrong?" "I haven't used it for a while and he'll be gone instantly," Naruto replied. "Fine. Just do what you want." Shikamaru sighed. Naruto put his hands into the Torrid Tiger Seal. "Yes, thanks for your permission, mother." Bunshindabe Fuku Gamma exploded, but he didn't just explode, he did so gracefully. Sakura petals danced fiercely around Aoi. Each petal left a deep mark embedded in his skin. They were like tiny razors. Aoi was dead within seconds. He couldn't sustain many more injuries. The others who hadn't seen his original exploding cage Bunshin technique stared at the sight in shock. It was beautiful, yet deadly. Amazing. TCH. How troublesome, Naruto. I don't understand why you couldn't have made those clones before and explode them. Shimakaru scoffed. Because, Naruto said as he dropped to one knee, panting. That particular clone takes 5 times more chakra than a regular exploding clone. This coupled with all of the fighting we've done today, I'm almost done. Tarzuna stared at his body-infested bridge. Blood was everywhere, but he was safe. The ninjas had done their job very well. A little too well maybe, Kiwabe grumbled. He should probably go back into the seal so Naruto would have his healing abilities back. He couldn't expand his chakra unless he wanted to destroy Naruto's chakra coils. "Kit, come here." Naruto had already anticipated this from Kiwabe. "It's alright, you can have a little bit more freedom." "I'm fine, so relax a bit." Kiwabe grinned, causing everyone to shiver. "Oh no. Naruto-san?" Shino said tentatively. "Nani?" Shino-san is that? I mean is he really the Kiwabe no Kitsune? It was the question that had been eating away at him ever since Naruto had started fighting. Naruto glanced at Shikamaru, who nodded his head slightly. It meant that Shino was trustworthy. Naruto let out a long breath. "Hi Shino-san, he's the Kiwabe no Kitsune. You see, he's the king of hell and also the being that destroyed Konoha. The only reason why I can summon him is because I am the Jin." Naruto's explanation was cut off by clapping from the other end of the bridge. They all turned around and groaned. Not again. There, 250 feet away, stood a midget dressed up in a suit and tie, with at least 100 more mercenaries behind him. "Why didn't they ever die?" Said man was clapping for reasons unknown. Zabuza growled. This was the man he had sworn to kill, and he would kill him. "Oi, Zabuza, do you want any help killing the idiot in the specs over there?" Gato trembled slightly when he heard Kiwabe say this, but the fear was gone in a nanosecond. "HMPH. I am Gato, the ruler of Wave Country. It's best if you leave right now before we kill you. Although you have put together an admirable effort in wasting away Aoi's forces and Aoi himself, all of you are tired. You can't last much longer against my force, Gato said in a smug voice. Zabuza scoffed. Ruler my ass. You're a fucking tyrant, that's what you are. What kind of ruler lets his people rot while he himself bathes in riches? I'll tell you what kind, the shitty kind. So kindly stand still while I murder you. My Zabuza, some demon you turn out to be. First you switch sides without telling us, and now you're lecturing me on how to rule my own empire. Isn't that a bit philosophical coming from a supposed demon? Gato taunted. The demon of the mist growled. If it was a demon that Gato wanted, it would be a demon that Gato would get. Zabuza bared his teeth at the midget. He dumped his sword on the ground. He needed to use his bare hands to slaughter this asswipe. Oi Kakashi, Asuma-san, back me up here. It's time to teach this motherfucking son of a bitch just exactly why I'm so feared in the elemental nations. Oh, and Kiwabi, thanks, but no thanks. I need to have the pleasure of ripping this bastard's heart out of his pathetic body. Asuma and Kakashi nodded whilst readying themselves in battle positions. Asuma once again took out his now bloodied trench knives. They were poised to spring at any second. Kiwabi grumbled but went to go stand near Naruto. Zabuza grinned a very feral grin. It was one that sent tendrils of fear down Gato's back. The hunter was coming for its prey. Within a split second, he was off, sprinting to Gato's position. At the same time, Gato shouted out to his troops to attack. The mercenaries thought that they could win. After all, the odds were in their favor. It was 100 versus 3. What could possibly go wrong? Kakashi quickly did the seals for his Raikiri. 3 oncoming people were destroyed by the power of his attack. Kakashi's masked lips turned upwards in a sadistic smirk as he looked at the blood spurting out of his victims. It was artistic. A torrent of hysterical laughter tore through the man as he cut more and more enemies down. His masterpiece had to be complete. Asuma sighed as he saw Kakashi's massacre. Kakashi and Anko were the perfect couple for so many reasons. Their sadism knew no bounds. Asuma lazily stabbed a man through the gut and watched in grim satisfaction as the man crumpled to the ground. Ninja definitely were crazy. It was a proven fact after all. Gato paled as he stood rooted to the ground, watching the 3 men slaughter his forces. He shit himself when he saw Zabuza heading towards him. Gram. Gee, get him. He managed to stammer out to his protective guard. It was like time was moving in slow motion for Zabuza. He absent-mindedly killed a man in front of him all while staring at Gato. This demon had ravaged an entire country and felt no remorse. Even Zabuza did not do that. Never once had he taken advantage of women or children when he came across them. Perhaps losing Akira and raising Haku made him sane. That's what a shinobi was. However, this person in front of him had most likely raped thousands of women, and never given it a second thought. When Haku and Naruto had described what they had seen in that base that they had destroyed, Zabuza felt the bile rise in his throat. How could he actually have worked for that guy? Oh right. The money was good. Desperate times call for desperate measures. He then let himself imagine if it were Haku in that kind of place. What would happen? He didn't even want to picture it. He would never let his baby girl be put on those conditions, no matter what it took. And for that reason, he had to kill Gato. It was so no one else's son or daughter would be put in brothels under Gato. There would be no more suffering for the people in Wave. Gato's reign would end today. Believe it. Kakashi, Asuma and the others all stopped what they were doing to watch Zabuza's actions. Zabuza was now only 12 feet away from Gato. He had no weapons on his body. Pure adrenaline was rushing through the man's head. 7 feet. Gato felt all the blood leave him. 6 feet. His guards convulsed on Zabuza. 5 feet. 3 of his guards were dead. How? He didn't know. His heart stopped beating. 4 feet. Gato stared into the onyx eyes of his future killer. 3 feet. Zabuza's hands itched for the blood of the midget in front of him. 2 feet. All eyes were trained on the 2 men, one demon and one not. Figure out who's who. 1 foot. Zabuza stopped in front of the fear-stricken Gato. It's over now, Gato. Your time has come. Say your last prayers, though I doubt anyone will hear them. Gato couldn't move. His legs refused to budge. An invisible force kept him down, rooted to the ground. His time was indeed over. He closed his eyes. The last thing he heard Zabuza say was, "If I'm a demon, then what does that make you?" Zabuza's hand plunged through Gato's chest, ripping through sinew and finally reaching his heart. Said man's body writhed pitifully as his heart was ripped out. He crashed through the bridge in silence. In his hand, Zabuza held the shriveled heart of the tyrant. It was over. Wave was free. Everyone watched wide-eyed as Zabuza made his way back to them. The man looked down at the blood that covered him and the heart that had beat its last beat 2 seconds ago. With a half-hearted shrug, he tossed the heart into the water underneath them. Tarzuna cringed at the sight of Gato and his men. Only 20 or so had survived. His bridge was literally a body dump. It would take ages to clean up the mess that the shinobi had made. However, inwardly, he was dancing Mataramakaku's lucky dance. It was over. Wave was free. Gato was dead. His country would not be oppressed anymore. Peace would reign once more. The hired mercenaries looked at their fallen leader's body in fear. He was dead now. So who would pay them now? Their comrades were all gone, thanks to the 9 people the 9 monsters in front of them. In a fit of blind fury, they charged at the shinobi. You killed our meal ticket. Now prepare to pay for the consequences. Zabuza tensed for a counterattack, but stopped when he saw the identical grins on Naruto, Haku, and Shikamaru's faces. Do you know something that we don't? He asked tentatively. Instead of answering, Shikamaru pointed to an arrow that flew overhead and stopped the mercenaries in their tracks. Hey, don't you ever try to come here again, you meanie butts, a voice behind them called. Slowly, they turned around, only to see the entire population of Wave standing there carrying pitchforks, bows, arrows, shovels, and crowbars. In the front of the army stood Inari and Kenji, each armed with some type of weapon. Naruto, Shikamaru, and Haku's remaining cage bunshin also stood there with looks of triumph on their faces. The mercenaries paled at all the people in front of them. Naruto smirked. He put his hands up in an all too familiar seal. Cage bunshin no jutsu. Out of nowhere, 100 clones popped up, defending the civilians who had joined the fight. Oi assholes, do you want to die today? Kakashi chuckled at this sight. I don't have too much chakra left, but I can always bluff. 20 more clones popped up, but this time they were all Kakashi's version. Bring it on, he yelled. The mercenaries paled even more. There was no way they could possibly win this fight. Not knowing what to do, they made a mad dash to the edge of the bridge and jumped. It was a good 50 feet down or so. Many of the remaining mercenaries were trying futilely to clamber their way back to shore. There was a slight silence and then a low rumble started. The rumble turned into mad cheering. Men and women alike danced around. However, it was very hard to do so with all the bodies lying everywhere. Children cried tears of joy while parents rejoiced that their horrendous plight was finally over. Naruto felt himself beglopped by 2 people. Identical cries of Ni-chan. Ni-chan drew his eyes to his midriff. Inari and Kenji clung to him like magnets to metal. He smiled softly and ran his bloodied hands through their hair. Ni-chan, we did it. They're gone forever. Inari crowed. Kenji nodded his head furiously. We couldn't have done it without you 3, Kenji said with reverence in his voice. By this time Shikamaru and Haku had joined Naruto. Ni-chan, it was their turn to be glopped as well. Shikamaru let out a strangled sigh as he patted the boys on the head. We did it. Damn. Our first real mission and it ends up like this. You're telling us? We thought this would be a C rank mission, not a frickin' A rank. I guess we have Tarzuna-san to thank for that though, Ino added. Tarzuna rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. Oi Mina. Tarzuna's voice projected for everyone to hear. The people quieted down instantly. Free sake for everyone today, he roared. Immediately, the cheering increased tenfold. No one would not take him up on that offer. E3. Mind telling us what exactly you did that made the entire population of Wave come here? Kakashi's amused and indifferent voice asked them. The 3 in question gave each other mirth-filled glances. It's a long story really. Perhaps we should take this somewhere private. It had taken 17 hours for everything to completely settle down. Gato's heartless body was paraded around the town and set on fire. The remaining mercenaries who had eventually come back to Wave fled once more upon seeing their leader's charred body. For the first time in a very long time, a feeling of happiness settled in Wave. Wave was in a state of ecstasy. Kakashi and Asuma had hit all of Gato's bases, producing money that was enough to keep Wave afloat for the next 10 years. They knew that this feeling of euphoria would not leave them for a long time. Soon, a leader would be chosen, and they knew that the leader would make Wave prosper once more. It also didn't hurt that they had a village such as Konoha backing them up as well. 200 bodies had littered Tarzuna's bridge. At first, he was slightly hysterical, wondering how the bodies would be removed. However, Kiwabe had produced a massive fireball that incinerated all of them in one go before going back in as seal. Now they were all a pile of ash. A simple Futenjutsu performed by Naruto carried the ashes into the ocean beneath the bridge. The only indication that a battle had taken place were the massive splotches of blood everywhere. However, within a day or so they would also be removed. Now the shinobi and Tazuna's family were all sitting outside, admiring the beautiful scenery that the country had. It was a day of resting and recuperation for all of them. The battle had taken a severe toll on their bodies, especially Shino and Choji's, whose bodies were still wrapped in gauze. Naruto, Shikamaru, and Haku had told them what they had done to rile up the citizens of Wave. All it took were puppy dog eyes coming from a 7-year-old and a whole lot of killer intent. Inari and Kenji had literally gone to every house and pouted in front of the adults. To those that had melted immediately, they took whatever materials they had and set out. To those that didn't, well, that's where the killer intent came in. Needless to say, it worked very efficiently. The downside to this was that many people in Wave were constantly flocking them, trying to get details on how exactly they had taken down the tyrant and his cronies. It seemed that a Naruto-sama fan club had been started. Wherever he went, the girls seemed to follow him. He was starting to understand why Uchiha Sasuke was gay. This was all too troublesome for him to deal with. Shino-san, Naruto murmured. It was time to tell Shino the truth. Naruto-san, the stoic boy replied. The others listened intently as to what Naruto was going to tell the boy. I know that you have felt like you have been left out ever since we arrived here. I have concluded that you are a trustworthy person and therefore I will tell you the entire story behind me, Naruto said with a long sigh. Shino sat up slightly straighter. Go on, Naruto-san. The shinobi looked at each other warily. Would this be wise to do, especially in front of civilians? You must be wondering why I summoned the Kiwabe no Kitsune yesterday on the bridge, Naruto asked him. Shino nodded. It's been eating at me ever since. The answer is quite simple. It is because I am the Jinchuriki of the Kiwabe, the nine-tailed fox. A silence descended upon the camp. Finally Shino spoke. Jinchuriki. Human sacrifice. Indeed. You see, 12 years ago, the Yondaime Hokage sealed the Kiwabe into a baby whose chakra coils had not developed yesterday. As you can guess, that baby was me. As to why he did it, I will tell you as well. It was because I am his son. So Shino-san, do you see me differently? Naruto revealed to the crowd. Though most of them knew this, for the civilians and Shino, it was a huge shock. Shino gave Naruto a critical gaze that did not faze the boy. He knew the difference between a kunai and the scroll that the kunai was sealed within. Naruto and the Kiwabe were two separate beings. The battle on the bridge proved this. He had his answer. No, I do not, Naruto-san. Asuma-sensei had told me that you and I are more similar than I first imagined. Now I understand why. I have observed you ever since our academy days. It has always bothered me as to why the civilians treated you so terribly. I even asked my mother and father if your parents had done something to anger Konoha. However, my father denied that. Now I can see why. The son of the Yondaime is no more the Kiwabe than I am, Shino said. He pushed his glasses up further. Naruto took in everything Shino and said and grinned. He had one more person who accepted him. Shino-san, our parents used to be on the same team together. In fact, Shibiji-san and Tokiko-san invited me over for dinner several times when we were younger. However, you never joined us. Shino's eyebrows rose slightly at Naruto's revelation. His mother and father had never told him about this. Naruto-san, as I said earlier, Asuma-sensei told me that we are more alike than you think. I do not have the Kiwabe within me. At this, Shino allowed a small chuckle to pass through his lips. Yet because my clan is rather unconventional in our bug usage, Konoha tends to stay clear of our clan. We just blend in with the background. I believe in the academy I was known as that freaky bug boy. Insects live in practically every pore of my body. People don't understand what's inside of us and look at us in a different way. Therefore I believe that I do understand a part of the pain that you felt as a child, though it is nowhere near the amount that you felt. Naruto's eyes clouded over. Shino truly was a good friend, and perhaps a better person than he had first realized. Arigato, Shino-san. It truly means a lot to me that you can accept me for me, and not what's sealed inside of my gut. Shino just gave an uncharacteristic smirk and left it at that. Naruto then turned his attention to the three civilians only to be surprised by their smiling faces. Naruto, We couldn't care less if you had rat turd sealed inside of you. You are the son of a hero and a hero yourself. So take that worried expression off of your face. It doesn't suit you at all and it makes you seem older than you really are," Tarzuna exclaimed with a large smile on his face. Inari clambered onto Naruto's lap. "Ni-chan is Ni-chan. Nothing will ever change that." Naruto smiled a true smile, one that only appeared with his most precious people. "Thank you for everything," Tarzuna chortled. "Now how about I make good of my offer on that free sake, eh?" If it was one thing that everyone learned that night, it was that drinking and Ino do not go well together. Not only had she completely trashed the place, she had pulled down Shino's collar, taken one look at him, called him a handsome piece of meat, and kissed him full on the lips. Twice. And it wasn't just an innocent kiss. It was the real deal, tongue and all. Tsunami shielded poor Inari's eyes so he wouldn't be scarred for life. Now if that didn't make the silent bug boy to squeak, then I don't know what did. Shino hoped that Ino would forget all about it because it might screw up team dynamics. It had taken both Naruto and Shikamaru's shadow bind to subdue the rampaging girl. Tarzuna was not a happy camper when he took a look at his house. The others couldn't stop laughing at the Shino's flushed face. No one would take Shino seriously from now on with that unemotional voice that he put on. They knew that after yesterday, he could scream like a banshee. Perhaps he was related to Sakura in some way. It was all so very entertaining. So Ino woke up the next morning with a splitting headache and a vague recollection of her kissing someone. She wondered why it was odd that Shino refused to look her in the eye, or why people would double over in laughter when they looked at her. Finally she had put two and two together and apologized to Shino over and over again. He, not knowing what to do, had given her a small pat on the head, while blushing furiously, and told her it was alright. And now 1 week had passed since then. The gang was preparing to go home, with 2 extra people with them. Haku and Zabuza were ecstatic, though Haku showed it better than Zabuza that they would finally have a home after so long. With the help of Naruto and Shikamaru's shadow clones, the bridge was finally built. Tarzuna had burst into tears of joy when the last nail was hammered in. For a drunkard, he was an excellent bridge builder. In addition to the bridge, Naruto had taken the initiative of starting a proper orphanage for the children that he had seen on the streets. He found 2 extremely kind people who would use funds to add on to the foundation that he had laid. Kenji and the others were very happy that they didn't have to stay on the streets anymore. They knew that people would adopt them. Who could refuse those beautiful puppy dog eyes? Needless to say, Wave was in the debt of Konoha. The valor that they had shown would not be forgotten for a very long time. The 9 shinobi stood facing the entire population of Wave. Tsunami had given them an amazing lunch as a goodbye gift. Chaoji felt like he was floating on cloud 9. The days had been passed lazily and leisurely. However, they were desperate to go home. Kakashi was lonesome without his Icha girl, and Asuma was missing the Ice Queen of Konoha. Haku and Zabuza just wanted to go to the place that their family called home. Everyone in Wave had come to see their saviors off. Although it was sad, they knew that Wave would have its new beginning again. Naruto put up a solitary hand as a gesture of farewell. Tsunami-san, Tarzuna-san, Inari, thank you for letting us stay in your home. It was truly enjoyable being with all of you. Tarzuna waved it off. No, Naruto, it is us who are truly grateful for everything the 9 of you have done for Wave. Without any of you, this bridge couldn't have been built. Konoha will always be our savior. So from the bottom of our hearts, we are eternally grateful. He bowed to them. It was an action that the rest of Wave mimicked. The shinobi just stood there awkwardly, not really knowing what to do. They weren't very good with goodbyes, it seemed. Inari then came up and took both of Naruto and Shikamaru's hands in his own, then looked down at him surprised. I promise you that one day I'll become an awesome shinobi just like you guys. Then we can all fight together. He added Haku's hand to the mix as well. The 3 cousins smiled at the boy and ruffled his hair all at once. The boy pouted, but a smile was still on his face soon afterwards. Then, I think it's best that we leave right now, Kakashi stated softly. I'm not so sure I'll be able to drag you guys back if we stay any longer. Everyone laughed at this. With another sullen wave, they turned around, looking back once or twice to give another wave or so to the town. Tarzuna was still waving even as the shinobis became specks in the distance. Oi Tarzuna, we have to give this bridge a name, a random person shouted. Tarzuna nodded and struck his thinking pose. Aha, we'll call it Tarzuna's Super Great Awesome Bridge of Pure Awesomeness. The population sweat dropped at that ridiculous name. It wouldn't even fit on the plaque. Inari tugged on his grandfather's pants. Grandpa, let's name it something that something that Naruto and I-chan Kanji yelled. Let's name the bridge after Naruto Ni-chan, the Great Naruto Bridge. It has a good ring to it. Tarzuna murmured. Dad, are you sure? It wasn't just Naruto who helped save this country, you know. Tsunami said doubtfully. I know that, but that Naruto kid is going to be someone great one day. They all are. Naruto changed Inari, who helped change Wave. He even set up an orphanage that has hundreds of kids adoring him. It's going to be the name of our bridge. I have a feeling that it will be very famous one day, he said, more to himself than to anyone else. YOSH. Mina. This bridge is called the Great Naruto Bridge, named after the boy who changed Wave Country. Do you like the name? His answer was the roar of approval from his people. If it was one thing that Tarzuna knew for sure, it was that the future was in secure hands no matter what it took to get there. Elsewhere in Odo, Orochimaru smirked. His testing was nearly complete. He had just transferred bodies. The previous vessel was extremely weak. This new one was strong, though it was the body of a woman. It was perfect. The Chunin exams were less than 2 weeks away and he would be disguised as a grass Nin. His genin were ready. Now all he needed was his ultimate prize, the Sharingan. If he had that, then he would have the ultimate body. Itachi had refused him, but his brother was too weak not to. One cursed seal, and Uchiha Sasuke would be his. Kukuku. Just wait, Konoha. It's time that your era of peace ends. It's time that you learn what the word fear means again. It's time I take back what's rightly mine. My empire of Oda will rise with Konoha's downfall. So say sayonara to everything you once loved, he said in a sinister hiss. Clouds formed on the horizon, darkening the sky. War was approaching, and Konoha would have to be ready. A boy with shaggy red hair and a tattoo for love on his forehead stared out of the window of his room. His black-rimmed eyes didn't know where exactly to look. He was bored. He and his siblings would be departing for Konoha in a couple weeks. Until then, he had nothing to entertain himself with. I could go and kill some villagers, he thought ruefully. Inwardly he chuckled. Gaara's reputation was known and feared in Suna. He was the monster, the thing that the Kazekage had created as an ultimate weapon. He just killed indiscriminately and without care. Anyone who came within 2 feet near him was supposedly killed. A pair of hands wrapped around his frame. Gaara-kun, don't think too much. Your face will get wrinkly, a feminine voice murmured in his ear. Gaara was snapped out of his musings as he turned around to meet the face of his older sister, Sabaku Mari. He also saw his older brother, Kankuro, lean against the door frame with his hands crossed over his chest. Now if the rumors were actually true, then Temari would have been crushed in a coffin of sand. But clearly they weren't. You see, Gaara was not a ruthless killer. He was a killer, but he only killed those who tried to assassinate him on his father's orders. His siblings realized that he was quite docile when he didn't attack them in the crib. So what made people believe that Gaara-kun was a monster? Well, his father, the Yondaime Kazekage, announced to the entire village that the Shukaku resided within said boy. It wasn't a secret either. The Kazekage also went on to say that the monster within the boy was not sealed properly and needed blood to be sated. This was the biggest piece of bullshit in the world. The truth was, Gaara had a Biyu and a priest sealed within him. The priest was the one who would have made the vessel crazy rather than Shukaku herself. Yes, she, the Tanuki, was a girl. Why else would Gaara call her mother? When the two of them were sealed together, the Tanuki and priest had fought for dominance, and the Tanuki had eventually won, killing the spirit of the priest. With the priest gone, Gaara would not be a murderous, psychopathic person. He would only be sleep deprived. Shukaku would emerge if he went to bed. Not that it would have affected anyone or anything. She was the most calm and level-headed out of all of the Biyu. The rule was, the more tails you had, the crazier and stronger you were. Her lord, Kiwabe-sama, was an absolute maniac when he was in power. The last she had heard was that he was put under a genjutsu that made him attack Konoha. It appeared as though her and him were sealed at roughly the same time. She was excited in meeting him soon. His vessel and Gaara would no doubt be drawn to each other because of the bond that they felt. Temari, Kankuro, it's late. Get some rest, Gaara said in his regular monotone. Temari huffed. She was the oldest here, not Gaara. Why was he giving her orders? Muga-kun, we're giving you company here. Just enjoy it until we doze off. She's right, brother. After all, we should discuss our strategy one more time, Kankuro added. Suna had a very rocky alliance with Konoha. In fact, that alliance was practically gone, shattered even when the Yondaime Hokage had died. And now, Suna was going to attack Konoha during the finals of the Chunin exams. a month and a half away. I refuse to participate in it, Gaara stated bluntly. His siblings just stared at him before breaking out into broken sentences. But Gaara, father will be furious if you don't, Kankuro shouted. Keep your voice down, Kakuro. Temari hastily shushed him. Gaara. Why? She asked him hesitantly. Gaara stood up and looked his brother and sister full in the face. They cowered under his unusually harsh glare. He had never glared at them. First of all, that man is not my father. Never has he treated me like a son, therefore I refuse to acknowledge him as a dad. Secondly, that man made an alliance with Orochimaru, the snake Sannin from the hidden leaf. That man. I cringe when I look at him. I will not participate in this event that will be led by those two men. You two are free to do whatever you want. Gaara-kun, you made the right decision, dear. Plus we don't want to anger the Lord if we attack his vessel's home. Shikaku softly spoke in Gaara's head. I know, mother. I will not do this, no matter what anyone says. His two other siblings tensed. They were in a dilemma. Would they betray their home village, or agree with Gaara and not go through with the invasion? You two can decide when we go to Konoha. Think, and the answer will come. Gaara finished as he left the room. His siblings stared after his retreating back. Suna or Gaara? That was the question. Meanwhile, at the same time, 9 people were less than 50 miles away from Konoha. They were camped out in a nice area where the stars were visible. Without a civilian in their midst, traveling was much faster using their ninja pace. They had left Wave that morning. Nothing had happened really. No bandits, no rogue nins, no nothings. There was quiet, and that was a welcome change. Kakashi had one of his nin dogs deliver a message to the Sandaime stating that they would arrive sometime tomorrow. After all, there were only 50 miles to cover. A good ninja can run 8 miles per hour for 6 hours straight without needing to rest. So tomorrow they would only need about 1 stop. The only glitch in the journey was that the 3 rookie genins excluding Naruto and Shikamaru had finally realized how many lives they had actually taken. It sickened them that they had killed someone else, taken a human life. Asuma had comforted them saying that this was the life of a ninja. If they couldn't accept death, then the shinobi lifestyle was not for them at all. Ino had thrown up a few times, Chaoji refused to eat, and Shino. He had gone into his own shell of bugs. Literally, his beetles had created a shield around him in which no one could see what he was doing. The mood had been depressing, but it was lifting slowly. Everyone was asleep except for 2 people. Shikamaru and Haku had the first shift in the night guard. The two felt comfortable in each other's presence even if they only knew each other for less than 2 weeks. Haku gazed at the beautiful night sky. The stars twinkled and gleamed in the distance while the full moon cast a pale shadow upon the earth. The Shikamaru-kun, what's Konoha like? She asked the brunette suddenly. He jumped at her soft voice. It was like the sound of rain hitting the ground for the first time, refreshing. She looked at him expectantly. He cleared his throat. Konoha. How exactly do I describe her? Well, I suppose one would say that the village is quite large. One of the largest hidden villages in the elemental nations. In the center of the village is the Hokage Tower, and everything revolves around that. Each major clan in Konoha has its own complex. Naruto and our complex is next to the Akimaki, that's Chaoji's clan, and the Yamanaka-Ino complexes 2 streets over, Shino's clan. The Ibarams have their complex. I'll show you around more when we get to Konoha. She blushed at that. He had implied that he wanted to spend more time with her when they got there. She say it. Home. It seems like he was thinking along the same lines as well, because he too sported a brilliant red coloring, though the darkness hid that. And the people? What of the people there? She probed further. He gave her a quizzical glance. You're not a spy, are you? I just want to make sure before I tell you anything else. She just laughed. Shikamaru realized that he enjoyed her laugh so very much. It was like bells chiming together. Kami, no. I just want to know about my new home and the home of my family. He grinned a lopsided grin at her. Well, Konoha is obviously a ninja village, but we do have civilians as well. I don't like many of the civilians, mainly because of how they treated Naruto as a kid. His voice dropped as he remembered the cruel glares that Naruto had received for nearly all of his life. Haku noticed a sudden mood change and decided not to ask anything. But there are 2 civilians who I truly respect, and those are Tuki-san and Aini-chan. They own the local ramen store called Ikaraku Ramen. It's our favorite place to eat, more so Naruto's than mine. They were the first civilians who didn't treat Naruto like shit. and he's eternally grateful for that, Shikamaru added. Haku nodded and mentally made a note to go to that place as soon as she was settled. The ninja population is a lot better though. We have several elite ninja that I'm sure you've heard about. There's Kakani, he's the son of the White Fang. His mom is Jiraiya-ji-san's sister. Asumani is the son of the Hokage himself. Then we have Mato Guy. He's eccentric, but a damn good taijutsu master. Whatever you do not look him in the eye after you've trained with him. It'll make you want to puke your guts out. And also, he has a mini clone named Lee. Never, ever, under no circumstance talk to them about youth. The results are not pretty. Shikamaru shuddered at the word genjutsu that appeared when those two had one of their Gai Sensei Lee moments. Haku thought that he was being slightly melodramatic, but didn't say anything due to the pained expression on his face. One more thing, don't comment on their clothing either. You might just end up wearing it. He continued. What's so bad about what they wear? She asked. Green spandex, was his simple reply. It was her turn to shudder now. Even though ninja wore some weird clothing, that just topped it off. Who in their right minds wore green spandex? The only good thing about it was that you blended in with the background well. Another person that is very dear to our hearts is my Tarashi Anko. Other than her sadism and her dango obsession, she's a pretty normal person. You have to meet her. I have a feeling that the two of you will get along fabulously. I think that she's Kakani's. He held up his pinky finger, but I can't be sure yet. Shikamaru continued to tell her about many ninja in Konoha. Now she knew why he asked if she was a spy. He was basically telling her the outline for Konoha. The two talked for a good half an hour or so. Haku marveled at how comfortable she was in his presence. Suddenly, Naruto walked groggily up to them. Oi lovebirds, the shift's over. Will you try to keep it down? People are trying to sleep, you know. He grumbled but took some pleasure in seeing them blush. The two hastily got up and left for some long-awaited sleep. Morning came too soon for all of them. Everyone was up at 6 a.m. sharp. After 20 minutes, they were all cleaned up and fed with ration bars. Konoha was only a few hours away. 6 hours later, they saw were approaching the gates of Konoha. They made good time, only stopping because Zabuza needed a bathroom break desperately. In that time they had caught their breath and were good to go. Kakashi thanked his lucky stars that Sakura was not on this team right now. She would have slowed the mission down so much. Haku and Zabuza were in awe at the sight of Konoha. It was huge. The 9 slowed down to civilian pace and leisurely walked up to the gates. The two on guard were the eternal Chunin, Katatsu and Izumo. Halt! State your busyness with Konoha. Katatsu shouted. Mama Katatsu-san, I think you're doing your job a little too well. It's us. Team 7 and Team 9 returned on an A-rank mission, Kakashi said in his regular aloof tone, one that made Katatsu gulp. Fine, but who are the other two with you? Izumo asked suspiciously. Azu, that's Momo. Katatsu started. It's actually Uzumaki Zabuza. Thanks very much. Zabuza interjected. The two Chunin stared at Zabuza for a while, then back to Naruto. My uncle and my cousin. Naruto clarified for them. Their jaws dropped. Oh shit. What were they supposed to do when the famed demon of the hidden mist was their favorite blonde's uncle? Aha. They're here to apply to Konoha. We have to talk to Sandaime-sama, so let us pass. I told them. The guards hesitantly let them pass. The 9 walked into Konoha slowly. There was no real rush. Some of the ninja stopped and stared at the odd group. Whispers and furtive glances were thrown at them. Zabuza smirked. This was going to be fun. Shikamaru sighed. Let's just shush in up to Gigi's office, alright? It'll save us a lot of trouble. The others nodded. Naruto grabbed Shino, Shikamaru took hold of Chouji, and Haku took Ino. They vanished in various ways. The Sandaime Hokage was currently in a meeting with Team 8. Iruka was present there as well, sorting through missions. Team 8 had just come back their first C-rank mission that consisted of leading a refugee back to his town that was 30 miles from Konoha. Kure and I was handing in their report when 9 people appeared in the room, much to the surprise of everyone in the room. Even Sasuke raised an eyebrow. Hiruzen sighed when he saw who it was, but he was interested in why Momoki Zabuza was in the room along with an unknown Kunoichi. Team 8 stared at the others awkwardly before Kiba bounded over to his friends. Hey, Anko told me about your mission. How'd it go? He asked exuberantly. It went peachy. We were actually going to tell Gigi about it just now. Shikamaru replied. He wondered how exactly Anko knew that they had this mission. The Sandaime? Or perhaps it was his love-struck cousin. Shikamaru. Treat the Sandaime with respect, Iruka admonished. Usually I say that to Naruto. The Sandaime waved it off. It's fine, Iruka. I don't mind. Team 8 was just done actually. I am curious as to what exactly happened on your mission that you brought home a missing nin. Naruto chuckled. Well, it's a long story, and we would love to tell it to you. Sasuke stared at the dome. He had never really talked to Naruto before, though he knew that he was a terrible ninja before. Now, he wasn't so sure. Sasuke may have been arrogant, but he wasn't stupid. Naruto had changed drastically, appearance-wise, and he was sure ability-wise as well. From what he had seen when they were placed on teams, he and the other dope were very comfortable with the elite ninja of Konoha. Not only that, the Sandaime seemed to be like a grandfather to them as well. If they were so strong, then why did they hide their skills? If you had it, flaunt it. That was Sasuke's principle. It was why his hair resembled a duck's butt. It was flamboyant, just like he secretly was. Hinata would have said something, but every time she spoke it came out in stutters so no one would understand her anyway. Kurenai took this as her signal to leave. Welcome now team, we must be off. There are so many things that we have to work on, especially teamwork. She shared an exasperated look with Kakashi and cast a fearful glance at Zabuza. On her way out she made sure to pinch Asuma on the butt hard so he wouldn't forget exactly where he had to go after his meeting was done. The poor man let out a strangled yelp and blushed a brilliant crimson. Kakashi, who was next to him, sniggered at his best friend's predicament. Shut it or I'll tell everyone exactly what you do with Anko each night, he growled. Kakashi instantly shut up. How did he know? Wait. Fuck me, he's Anko's other neighbor. Hiruzen cleared his throat expectantly. So, mind telling me why Anuknya dubbed the demon of the hidden mist is amongst our presence? Naruto grinned. Now Gigi, can't you see the resemblance between us? It's rather poetic actually. The demon of Konoha is related to the demon of the hidden mist. Everyone winced at what he just said. What do you mean by related, Naruto? Iruka asked the boy curiously. Wellll, Zabuza here happens to be the brother of my mother, making him my OG-san. Zabuza snickered at Sandaime's shocked expression. He decided that he needed to say something as well. It goes like this. I was hired by Gato to kill these people's clients. Naruto and his cousins were backup for the Genin team over here, he said, gesturing to Asuma's squad. We were fighting, if you want to call it that, when Naruto did his freaky whatever you want to call it. Ah yes, that mental link that works with those who are related to him by blood. He was extremely surprised when I, along with my daughter, heard it. It was then that we stopped fighting and he revealed himself to be Kushina Nichin's son. And the rest is history. Sarutobi's eyes widened further. Mental link? Naruto had a lot of explaining to do. But if what Zabuza said was true, then the last full-blooded Uzumaki and long-lost son of the Uzukage was standing in front of him. Are you saying that you are the son of the Uzukage, Uzumaki Hideki? The Sandaime asked the man incredulously. Everyone except Naruto, Shikamaru, Kakashi, and Haku's jaw dropped. Zabuza was the son of a Kage? That pretty much gave him diplomatic immunity. Yep, Zabuza chirped. You are the brother to Uzumaki Kushina, the bloody red habanero of Konoha. Wow. That's what she was called. That suits her so much. You are the uncle to Nara, Naruto. Aha. You are the cousin to Senju Tsunade. Geez, I haven't seen Tsunade Nisan in like 30 years. No joke. Iruka was literally on the floor. The demon of the hidden mist was the cousin to a Sannin, the son of a Kage, brother-in-law to another Kage, nephew to 2 more Kages, and most likely the uncle to a future Kage. What else? And I'm assuming that you and your daughter want refuge here? Well duh. I want to be close to the last of my living family, and Naruto here is it. Naruto. The boy gave Sarutobi so many damn headaches. A person should not be allowed to be so troublesome. Sandaime-sama, one last thing. My daughter Haku, she has a bloodline, Zabuza added. He knew that Konoha had a bloodline fetish, but no way in the 7 hells was he going to let his daughter become a breeding stock. Hiruzen blinked. A new bloodline in Konoha? The elders were going to have a field day. Oh, and what exactly is it? Shikamaru nudged Haku forward. Sandaime-sama, my bloodline comes from that of the Yuki clan. I'm sure that you've heard of it. It was exterminated in the bloodline raids in the mist, and I am the last of that clan. I believe it is Hyoten. I create ice by combining my water and wine chakra. Hiruzen blinked again. He had heard of the Yuki clan. That was a very powerful bloodline to have, and now one of its wielders willingly wanted to come into Konoha. He couldn't refuse that. You do realize, Zabuza-san, that many clans are going to want Haku-chan's bloodline in their own clan. The elders will most likely want her to marry the Uchiha or a Hyuga to create an even more powerful bloodline. Naruto growled, "Gigi, I will never let my cousin marry Sasuke or a Hyuga. You know that there are barely any males in the Hyuga main house, and if she marries into the branch house, she's going to be branded with a cage seal. Zabuza Oji-san would kill anyone that did that." I agree with him, Sandaime-sama. With all due respect, I believe that the Sharingan or Byakugan will overpower my own bloodline. Therefore it is prudent that when I take a husband, he would be from a clan with a bloodline that is compatible with my own. Haku said softly. Sarutobi saw the logic behind her and Naruto's words. It was true that they had tried to produce Uchiha and Yamanaka children at one time. The child only received the Sharingan, and nothing else. TCH. Just give her to Shikamaru and it'll be fine. Naruto grumbled. Haku smacked him over the head. Naruto-kun, I am not something to be given away. Remember that or I'll kill you. She snarled dangerously. Ino patted her on the shoulder. Girl power ruled. She shot Naruto a dangerous glare as he nursed his aching head. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Shikamaru was in a bit of a daze. Naruto's words left an impact on him that didn't go unnoticed by the older men in the room. Hiruzen sighed. Very well then. I really have no choice in this matter anyway. To refuse Uzumaki royalty into the village is a sin in itself. Uzumaki Zabuza, Uzumaki Haku, do you pledge your allegiance to Konoha and Konoha only? If so, then kneel on the ground. Hi. The father and daughter pair knelt on the ground in front of the Sandaime. Do you swear on your blood that you will protect the will of fire that burns within each and every individual? Hi. Will you live and die for Konoha? Hi. Very well then. Hiruzen opened his drawer to pull out 2 Konoha headbands. Congratulations! You are now Konoha shinobi. A relieved expression passed on the Uzumaki's faces. Naruto cheered as his newly instated fellow Konoha shinobi stood up. Hang on, Gigi. What level will they be? He asked suddenly. The Sandaime thought for a minute. Well, Zabuza will be a Jonin, but he will be under surveillance for some time. I'm sorry Zabuza, but you are still a missing in, and it's protocol. Don't worry, it'll only be for 2 months. And Kakashi, you should know that I cast Haruno Sakura out of your squad due to her terrible performance. This is a blessing in disguise. Haku-chan can join your squad. All 3 of them are around the same level, and now your team will be more balanced. Zabuza grumbled under his breath but accepted it. It could have been a lot worse after all. Haku's eyebrows shot up as she looked at Naruto and Shikamaru. They had the most blissful expressions on their faces. Kakashi was pleasantly surprised, as were the rest of them. It's about time. Shikamaru muttered under his breath. I'm going to be spending a lot more time with Haku now. Arg. Stupid. Stupid. It's just a girl. Not an Ichi, damn it. Why am I having an argument with myself? I'm a Nara. Women are supposed to be troublesome. TCH, even my thoughts are troublesome. Gigi, I've been meaning to ask you this question for a while. Why did you put Shikamaru, me, and Kakani on the same team? I mean, family members aren't allowed on the same team, are they? Naruto inquired. Sarutobi chuckled. Naruto, besides Ino or Chaoji, and maybe even Chino, you wouldn't work well with anyone else. Shikamaru and you make a good team. As to Kakashi as your sensei, I felt that Kure and I would able to mellow Sasuke out more so than Kakashi. But eventually, Kakashi, you will have to teach the boy something. But only when he awakens the Sharingan. Till then, you're safe. Kakashi nodded, but inwardly sighed. The boy had no personality whatsoever. Training him would be too troublesome. Now that the formalities are out of the way, why don't you 9 tell us exactly what happened in Wave? Sometime later. And so Zabuza-san ripped out Gato's heart. After that, there were a few minor incidents here and there, but Wave was effectively free. We stayed there for a week afterwards because our students were still recovering from their injuries. Asuma concluded her tale. Hiruzen and Iruka were dumbstruck. Each and every genin in the room had killed before, and had taken it well enough. Wow, that's all I can really say. That was quite a tale there. This mission, though it was too much for rookie genin, did teach you one lesson, and that was to expect the unexpected. I'm sorry that you all had to kill so young, however this is the reality of our lives. Well then, I'm sure you all need some time to rest among other things. So I'm giving you the rest of the day off. Come by tomorrow for more missions. Zabuza-san, tonight, we'll introduce you to the rest of the Jonin population. I'm sure Kakashi and Asuma will be more than happy to do so. Ah! One more thing. Now that the last Uzumaki has returned to Konoha, Would you like to be given the status as the head of the Uzumaki clan? Zabuza choked on his own spit. What? I mean, are you serious? He asked in a more polite tone. The Sandaime nodded. Yes, you are forgetting that the Uzumaki clan is one of the clans that helped build Konoha along with the Senju. They have held council seats since the beginning. Oh, and who's the current head, if there is one? Zabuza inquired. Oh wait. Naruto had mentioned something about this before. That would be myself. Naruto answered his uncle. The genin except Shikamaru looked at the boy in surprise. Yes, because up until now, I was the only real Uzumaki in Konoha. I've held the council seat for the clan. However, I've never gone to a meeting. On paper, I'm the head of the clan, but it's Tsunade-bachan who actually attends the meetings as head of the Senju and advisor of the Uzumaki. She's only a quarter Uzumaki though. I'll happily relinquish the post to you if you want. Zabuza thought for several minutes. I'd rather not. Clan politics are not really my thing. Naruto, sorry man, but I'll leave the clan to you. We don't really have enough members to be called a clan in the first place. Just like the Senju. I'll take Tsunade's place as your advisor if you want. Naruto agreed with his uncle. That's fine, plus I'm sure Tsunade-bachan won't mind. Just watch your back when she comes back. She might kill you for not contacting her in so long. Zabuza shivered when he remembered his cousin's fiery temper. I hear you there, Naruto. So, where will Haku and I be staying? I have a vacant apartment next to mine in one of the shinobi complexes. We can go check it out after this, Asuma offered. Plus, Kakashi lives next door to me, he added. Kakashi, who had been silent till now, spluttered. No I don't. Oh, then why do I hear you every night in that apartment? Asuma teased his friend. Shikamaru and Naruto paled. Anko lived next to Asuma, so it was true. Crap, what do you mean Asuma? Kakashi lives in the Nara complex, Sarutobi said. Does he really? Whoops, I must have forgotten. Asuma replied, while ignoring the death glares that Kakashi was trying to give him with his one open eye. Sarutobi stared at two of his elite jonin with an questioning gaze. Shaking his head, he turned his attention to the 9 in front of him. Very well then, I suppose that settles that then. Kakashi, Asuma, I expect a full report on this tomorrow. Wave Country, one day will be a very important place. It's a good thing that they're free now. Once they are back on their feet, we can open up trade routes with them. So all of you shall receive pay for an A-rank mission, plus extra money for opening up an economic venture for Konoha. Now, I want to talk to Naruto alone, so all of you are dismissed. A resounding cry of "Hi" was heard in the room. Shikamaru patted Naruto on the shoulder and vanished along with Haku. Asuma gave his father an odd look but prepared to leave. Everyone else left using Shushin or by foot. When they were alone, Iruka and the Sandaime just stared at Naruto for a minute or so. He grew uncomfortable under their gazes. What? Why am I here? He asked apprehensively. Hiruzen sighed. Naruto, there's a couple things I want to talk to you about. First off, Tsunade sent me a full report of the damage that Orochimaru's venom did to Mizuki's body. Mizuki. That reminded Naruto of something that Aoi had said. Oji-san, before you tell me what Bachan said, there's something that we forgot to mention in the reports. Before we started to fight, Aoi said something about Oto. Otogakure. That's where Mizuki went to, and he came back changed. Aoi went on to mention that Oto wanted to destroy Konoha or something like that. It leads me to believe that Orochimaru is somehow involved with the village. Now I told Anko ni and Kaka ni the same thing when Mizuki stole the scroll. If you remember correctly, he was sent on a mission to make diplomatic negotiations with the village. I'm pretty sure that Orochimaru is the leader of this new village. Naruto told us Oji-san. Both Hiruzen and Iruka tensed. This wasn't good news for Konoha. Hiruzen knew Jiraiya was currently looking into this village called Oto, but they needed concrete evidence that Orochimaru was leading this village, and fast. Hiruzen didn't know why, but he had a bad feeling that something was going to happen to Konoha soon. Thank you for that information, Naruto. I do believe that it ties into what I need to tell you. You see, your hypothesis was that Orochimaru's venom concentrated in his heart causing the aorta to burst. Now this is only half true. In reality, the venom sealed off all the tenketsu points in the body. As you can tell, that means that the body's self-healing capabilities as well as the usage of chakra is gone. When Mizuki's aorta burst, it was simply an unforeseen side effect. Mizuki's bloodstream also contained animal chromosomes. Now these chromosomes are not compatible with the body in terms of an extended amount of time. However, they do give a short power burst, hence the animal-like features that we saw Mizuki had. Now, The body would then fight off the invading enemies entering the bloodstream and the entire immune system would collapse. This coupled with sealed tenketsu means death. Hiruzen gave Naruto a couple minutes to digest the information. Normally, I would suggest making an antidote, but it seems too complex to create. There are so many variables that have to be accounted for that an antidote might make it worse. The boy finally spoke. Indeed, I even talked to Hayashi-san, because I believed that Orochimaru's concoction sounded like a chicken strike. But he agreed with your thoughts as well. An antidote would be impossible. Hiruzen concurred. Iruka watched the pair and couldn't help but feel out of place. Naruto was so different now. He was extremely intelligent and quick-minded, as was Shikamaru. How could have those two boys with such brilliant minds possibly hide it for so long? So, what else did you want to talk to me about? The blonde asked the wizened old man. Hiruzen stroked his beard. Well, Zabuza mentioned this mental link that you had. Care to explain it to me? Naruto winced. Although Sarutobi knew that he was in contact with the Kiwabi, he didn't know how much. Ano Ito, alright, I'll tell you. So this is a link that Kiwabi sets up for me when I need to talk to someone telepathically. The two adults' eyes widened. Telepathically? Naruto, do you mean that you can talk to people through their minds? And the Kiwabi? Iruka asked incredulously. Well, that's kind of why it's a mental link, isn't it? He sighed. It doesn't work with everyone. Only those that I share blood with. Like Zabuza Oji said before, it's how we found out he was my uncle. Shikamaru, Kakashi, and myself were discussing the best way to take him down, and he heard everything because of the link. I can stop my family from hearing my thoughts when we talk through it. Hiruzen ran a hand through his gray hair. Naruto, you shouldn't have kept something like this from me, but this gives us so much of an upper hand over everyone. It's actually a good thing that I put Kakashi, Shikamaru, and now Haku-chan on your team, because all of them have blood relations to you. Team 7 could become the first team that needs no verbal communication whatsoever. I need to know how long this link has been set up for. About 4 years or so. Just before those Iwanians came. That's when I discovered I could use it, he replied. Hiruzen gave his pseudo-grandson a calculating look. And why did you withhold this information from me for 4 years? Naruto recoiled at the sandame's semi-harsh tone. It was because at that time you were just getting used to the idea that I was in full contact with the Kiwabi. I didn't know how you would react to that particular ability. I'm sorry. He bowed his head down low as a symbol of apology. Hiruzen softened his gaze. Next time, don't not tell me these things. Okay, Naruto. Naruto smiled his father's famous flashy grin that made thousands of women fawn over him. Hiruzen couldn't believe how much he looked like Minato at that moment. I promise, I won't. Well then, one last thing before you go. Honestly, how do you think Haku-chan's abilities compare to your own? He was very curious as to what the ice-wielding daughter of Zabuza could do. The blonde boy smirked. Oji-chan, as an individual, she's about the same level as us. But together, we are going to be unstoppable. Just wait till the Chunin exams. We're going to show the world exactly who we are. Iruka and Sarutobi smiled at the confidence in his tone. They would just have to wait and see. Yani, Gigi, Iruka-sensei, I'll see you guys later. I really want to show Haku-chan around Konoha, though Shikamaru might have beat me to it. Speaking of those two, I wasn't kidding when I said that Haku should be with him. I mean, I've seen the way he looks at her. Trust me, no one would treat her better than Shika. Just keep that in mind. With that, he vanished in a swirl of leaves. I'll have to trust you on that, Naruto. Sarutobi said to no one in particular. Well, come on, Iruka. This paperwork isn't going to complete itself, you know. Iruka shook dropped. This was supposed to be the old man's job, yet he leached it off to the young Chunin. Iruka scrambled to stop a stack of falling papers. Hi, Sandame-sama. Asuma had just finished showing Zabuza and Haku the empty apartment. It was at a decent price, and Zabuza had a good amount money with him. It would keep him and Haku with some cash till they started working. So, what do you think? Asuma asked the duo. Zabuza scratched his chin and looked at Haku. She nodded. We like it. It's roomy enough for two of us, and it's better than any other place that we've had before. All it needs is some furniture and we're set. I'm assuming that you'll take it then? The bearded Jonin pressed. I guess we will. Wow, that's the fastest we've ever done house shopping. Even if we wanted a crappy apartment, it always took us days and days. Zabuza sat enthusiastically. Great. I guess that means that we're neighbors. I'll go talk to the landlord about the pricing. Till then, feel free to walk around Konoha. Just don't wander off. You should probably get to know everyone here soon. But next to me is my Tarashi Anko, and next to her is Mato Guy. But stay away from Guy when he's in one of his springtime of youth speeches. Asuma shuddered. And whatever you do, don't let him make you wear his suits. 2 words. Green spandex. It equals being scarred for life. Zabuza shuddered too. He had heard stories about Kanaya's green beast. Now he would see him in real life. Haku just wondered why everyone was hounding on the poor man, even though spandex was atrocious. I'll see you guys around then. Bye. Asuma left to go settle their apartment. His meeting with Kure and I would be delayed somewhat, but he would make it up to her in a very memorable way. As if on cue, Naruto and Shikamaru arrived right after Asuma left. They looked at each other and mumbled troublesome under their breaths. It was uncanny on how in sync their minds were. Well, now that the 2 of us are here, why don't we show you guys around Konoha some more? Naruto chirped. Sure, why not? I've been dying to see some of the places. Haku enthused. Asuma reappeared moments later. Sorry Zabuza-san. Could I borrow you for some time? We need you to sign the deal on the house. Zabuza nodded. Looks like I'll go around the village another time, kids. He disappeared with Asuma seconds after that. The 3 kids shrugged and leisurely made their way into town. Haku noticed some of the glares that were thrown Naruto's way. He just seemed to ignore them though. However, she did see other looks as well. A few people waved at them, and some of the girls had lust eyes. When they saw Haku walking between the 2 heartthrobs, they all seemed to glare at her. She was bewildered by all of these looks while Naruto and Shikamaru giggled. She hadn't done anything to them, yet they seemed to hate her. Unconsciously, she moved closer to Shikamaru, who didn't mind their proximity. Haku thought she saw a flash of black and blue hair disappearing behind the pole. Naru, Hinata's stalking you again, Shikamaru stated. Naruto sighed. Sometimes he felt sorry for the girl. He knew that she had confidence issues and all, but it was seriously annoying him that every day he would see her following him everywhere. It was like an obsession. I know Shika, I know. Hinata, is she the person hiding behind that pole over there? Haku asked. Hinata was out of earshot, so she couldn't hear what the object of her desire was saying or why he was with this raven-haired beauty. Stay away from my Naruto-kun or I'll kill you, bitch. Of course she didn't have the guts to say that out loud. It would sound pathetic. Yes, ever since I pretended to be the doob of the academy, she's been like this. She likes me or something like that. Naruto answered nonchalantly. Ah, do you like her back? Haku pressed on. Naruto gave his cousin an odd look. Hell no. What Hinata likes about me, or rather the persona that I played, was that I never gave up on anything, no matter what it took. Now while this is true, I'm not the goofball of a guy that she envisions. Haku accepted her cousin's answer readily enough and hooked each of her arms through both of the boys, causing fangirls to gape at the girl's sheer audacity. Hinata nearly fainted right then and there. So, what say you boys take me to this ramen place that Shika told me about last night? Naruto chuckled while Shikamaru blushed at a shortened name. To Ikaraku's we go. Naruto crowed, and the 3 shishined out of there, much to the surprise of the nosy onlookers. Tuki nearly got a fright when 2 of his favorite customers along with a raven beauty appeared out of nowhere in a swirl of leaves. Boys, please don't do that. My heart is bad as it is. Let's not stress it out too much now. The 2 boys rubbed the back of their heads in identical movements. Golemon, but we just got back from a long mission, and Haku-chan here wanted to see this place. Naruto explained. Oh ho. Haku-chan, so who exactly is this lovely lady? Tuki laughed. At that moment, Aim had joined them as well. Naruto scowled at the older man. She's my cousin, don't get any weird ideas, old man. Aim and Tuki blinked in surprise. Cousin? Naruto had more family? I see. So what's your name, darling? Tuki asked the girl who was taking in her surroundings. She quite liked the cozy and intimate setting of the small stand. Huh? Oh, sorry. My name is Uzumaki Haku. It's a pleasure to meet you. Tuki grinned. Another Uzumaki, eh? Oh, this was perfect for business. Everyone who was familiar with the Uzumaki clan knew about their voracious appetites. Nice to meet you, Haku-chan. I'm Tuki, and this is my daughter Aim. Aim nearly squealed at the girl's voice. Boy, was it angelic. She was so beautiful too, and so feminine. They were going to have a lot of fun times together. So Haku-chan, are you a civilian or a ninja? Aim asked the girl. I'm a ninja. Actually, I'm on their team, she replied, gesturing to the 2 males who flanked her on each side. Naruto's stomach chose that moment to grumble loudly. Aim-ni-chan, you and Haku-chan can talk later about girly things, but right now all of us are damn hungry. Haku sighed. Naruto was almost exactly like her father when he was hungry. It was so troublesome. Tuki chuckled. Alright Naruto, What would you like to have? Yosh, I want a bowl of miso ramen, a beef ramen, a chicken ramen, and a vegetable ramen. Good choices, kid. This way we'll both be full, Kawabe said in the back of Naruto's head. Harry, I know, right? And you, Haku-chan, what will you have? Haku looked over the menu very carefully. I'll have a large chicken ramen. Okay then. And you, Shikamaru? TCH, I guess I'll have the beef ramen then. Good, good. Just give me a few minutes, and your orders will be right with you. Haku watched as Tuki and Aim made the ramen. She had eaten the food a couple times, but it had never really appealed to her. But perhaps that would change today. Haku-chan, just you wait, it'll be the best ramen you've ever had. Naruto gurgled. His mouth watered. Almost 2 weeks without ramen was a terrible time for him. Shikamaru sighed as he shared a look with Haku. His cousin never changed. 10 minutes later, steaming dishes were put in front of them. Naruto immediately broke his chopsticks apart and dug in. Shikamaru lazily picked up some noodles and slurped them up. Haku watched both the boys eat and decided to do the same as well. She was quite hungry and it smelled quite delicious. She separated the 2 pieces of wood and delicately picked up some noodles and a piece of chicken. All of a sudden, everyone's eyes were on her. She hesitantly put the food in her mouth and swallowed. As soon as the food passed through her lips, she let out a moan of pleasure. Oh my, Kami, this has to be the best food in the world. She eagerly slurped up more noodles, completely unaware at the looks she was getting from those in the stand. Aim, Tuki, and Naruto were beaming. See? You just had to give it a chance. Naruto grinned. Shikamaru just stared. Not another ramen freak. But at least she's a hot one. I mean, did you hear that moan? Kami-sama. Tuki-san. One more please. Haku yelled as she tipped her empty bowl towards the man. Naruto gaped at her. How was she done before him? He hadn't even finished his first bowl yet. Plus she had a large bowl too. Tuki inwardly smirked. The Uzumaki females always had more appetite for ramen than Uzumaki males. His business had surely just tripled. Your wish is my command, my lady. Haku ignored Naruto's shocked expression. What? Did you think that I'm a Dana woman who doesn't eat anything? Hell no. When I eat, Naruto smirked. You know, I'm liking you more and more every day, cousin. After half an hour, everyone's tabs had been paid. Haku had eaten a total of 7 bowls, all large. Naruto had eaten 15 and Shikamaru had eaten 4. Tuki was left a very rich man. Come back anytime you want, Haku-chan, he had called as they had left. Now the trio was walking around Konoha. Shikamaru and Naruto were pointing random things out to her, like the training grounds, or the location where they had broken their first bones. By now, many Jonin had found out that Zabuza was instated as a Konoha Jonin. They had also learned that his name was Uzumaki and had come to Naruto many times asking what it was like to have Zabuza as an uncle. Naruto, in response, had told them to ask Haku, because she was his daughter. The shinobi shivered when they saw the glint in Haku's eyes. Another Uzumaki was in town, and she would kick your ass if you made one bad remark about Zabuza or even Naruto and Shikamaru. Now I'm sure many of you are wondering what has happened to our favorite pink-haired banshee. Well, let me tell you. After she had told her parents exactly why she had been thrown off of her team, her parents had been furious, not at the Sandaime, but at her. The Sandaime had been so kind as to send a letter detailing the reasons she was no longer a part of Team 7. They demanded why she hadn't done her part on the team, and she had replied it was because the tasks were too manly for her. Sakura thought that her parents, who were civilians, would understand why a girl shouldn't have been doing those chores. Oh no, it was quite the opposite. In fact, her civilian parents were disgusted with their daughter's behavior. However, she was still a shinobi. Sakura had promised her parents that she would train seriously and advance through the ranks. At the moment, the girl was walking around town, picking up kunai at the local weapons store. Imagine her surprise when 2 of her least favorite people walked in the store with an unknown girl. She hid in a corner, watching them with emerald eyes. It seems as though they had returned from their mission. Ah, Naruto and Shikamaru. It's been a while since I last saw you two. And who is this lovely lady with you today? The owner asked the boys. Konnichiwa, Sato-san. Indeed, it has been quite a while. This here is my cousin, Uzumaki Haku. We were hoping if those kunai that we ordered a couple weeks ago have arrived. And I think Haku-chan wants to buy some more senbon needles, Naruto told the man. Sato raised his eyebrows. Cousin A? Interesting. And yes, Naruto, your kunai have arrived. Shikamaru, and you can go in the back and bring it here. It's a big box marked Nara, so you can't miss it. Meanwhile, I'll show Miss Haku here why Konoha has the best senbon in all of the elemental nations. Haku giggled and allowed herself to be dragged away by the man. Naruto and Shikamaru went out to the storage room. Sakura stared at the girl who Naruto had introduced as his cousin. What was so good about her? And not about Sakura. Oh, that's right. Sakura wasn't a serious kunoichi. She glanced at Haku's hands. They were calloused and had some fading bruises on them. The girl's nails were cut down so there was no nail at all. Then she looked at her own hands. Her nails were perfectly manicured and her hands were as soft as a baby's bosom. They were civilian hands, not kunoichi ones. She wouldn't allow herself to wallow in her own sorrows though. She wanted to hear more of the conversation. Sato-san, these senbon are rather short. Do you have some longer ones perhaps? And maybe some clear ones instead of those gray ones. For the techniques I use, clear is always better. Techniques? Sakura thought glumly. I don't have techniques. How will Sasuke ever notice me? Why indeed we do. If you would come this way please. Ah yes. I believe this is what you are looking for. Excellent. These will be perfect Sato-san. I'll need quite a few though. Heck, I made a stock you. Haku commented. The man laughed. Well then, it's fine with me. Oh. Looks like Naruto and Shikamaru are back. Yes we are, Shikamaru declared. And those kunai were excellent. Just put everything, including whatever Haku-chan bought or is going to buy on the Nara tab. Shiko-kun, I can pay for it myself you know. Haku chided. Hi, Demo you're new in Konoha, so think of it as your welcome gift. Shikamaru responded. So Haku-san, are you a new genin as well? Sato turned to face her, with her bag of senbon. Yes. I am. I believe I am the newest member of Team 7 under Kakashi Ni-san with Naruto and Shikamaru. I heard that their other team member was kicked out, so the Sandame decided I would be her replacement. Sakura's heart stopped. She was her replacement? Naruto's cousin? When did this happen? Moreover, where did she come from? The Sandame was clearly being unfair here. Sakura wanted to cry right now. Sato nodded, then placed his hands on his chin. Oh really? Well actually I was hearing rumors about how the other girl was not doing her part on the team so I suppose it doesn't come as that big of a surprise. In fact, I think the girl came in before you guys. Sakura was her name, right? Yeah, and to tell you the truth, we're all glad that she's gone. I mean, Naruto here had to pretend to have a crush on her in the academy, and that was bad enough. Then she was put on our team, but she really didn't fit in too well. Even Kakani was relieved when Gigi said that she was no longer on the team. Shikamaru added, a shinobi must be able to do his or her part in the field. If they can't do that, then they shouldn't be a ninja in the first place. Sato surmised philosophically. Sakura placed a hand over her mouth to cover the sobs that threatened to erupt. Why was she so useless that even her sensei thought that they were better off without her? And why were those three so familiar with him in the first place? Naruto and the others had promised to explain everything to her, and she needed the answers right away. Yani, Sato-san, we'll come back another time. Sakura heard Naruto call as the door closed. Come back soon, you three. Sato yelled back. I have to restock my senbon collection already. She wasn't lying when she said she might clean me out. Sakura dashed out of the store when Sato was in the back. She couldn't take it anymore. The slandering of her name was getting to her, and she needed to be back home where there was safety. I'm so happy that my senbon collection was replenished. Haku crowed in delight. But still Shiko-kun, I think I should have paid for it myself. She pouted. Shikamaru gulped when he saw that adorable pout but quickly said, Haku-chan, like I said before, it's your first time here, so please think of it as a welcome present. Fine, she grumbled. But I'm going to treat you to something next time. No arguments allowed. Naruto grinned at their playful banter. This was a very good omen for the future. Next, they took her to visit the upper-class areas of Konoha where their complex was. Haku met with the Nara Patriarch and Matriarch Shikaku and Yoshino and they invited her for dinner that evening. Haku headed off right away with Yoshino and the two immediately began discussing ways to keep men in line together. Suffice to say, the three men in the room slowly inched away before the ladies got to them. They showed her where the old Namikaze complex and the Senji complex was as well. Ino and Chaoji later came out of their complexes to show her around as well. All in all, Haku had met pretty much all of the important clans today. 500 Jonin Complex. Zabuza-san, I think that Konoha will be brilliant for someone like you. Asuma told the burly man as they made their way to the Jonin meeting place. Kakashi was right behind them, his nose buried in his granduncle's book. Now today, he wasn't actually reading the book, that was looking for material that he could try out with his sexy viper. They had gotten through about half of the book, but there was just so many ingenious ideas that Jiraiya wrote about. They couldn't go to waste. Oh, and why is that? Zabuza humored the bearded jonin. Over the time that he had spent with the man, he had started to respect him more and more. Asuma had basically found them a place to stay, though he doubted that no matter how great Asuma said a place could be, it would sate his needs. Well, for starters, there are many missions that you can take, so you'll never be bored. The women here are top-notch. There's excellent steak and bars all around the place, and so much more. Asuma was practically bouncing up and down as he explained Konoha's greatness to Zabuza. Zabuza bared his pointed teeth at the man in what Asuma was assuming was a grin. The wrappings around his face were gone, as were the old clothes that he wore. Instead, he had ditched those for a more practical navy blue undershirt and the classic shinobi pants. He also had on his new Konoha headband around his forehead and the green jonin vest with the Uzumaki spiral on the back. Is that so? Well, then that's not too bad, is it? Asuma scratched his beard as if in deep thought. You know, there's a kunoichi named Mitarashi Anko, and her personality is damn similar to yours. You guys might hit it off nicely. Kakashi's book snapped closed. Zabuza stopped and stared at the younger man before shaking his head. Really? Mitarashi Anko, you said? It's a name that I'll have to keep in mind. Asuma glanced at Kakashi before grinning. He just wanted to piss the guy off some more. Consider it revenge for when Kakashi used to torture him in their childhood. Kakashi had his usual aloof look on him, but the only difference was that he was shaking slightly. Only a high-trained shinobi would be able to detect the difference. The Jonin complex came into view. Asuma, Zabuza, and Kakashi walked in casually. Many Jonin such as Genma, Redu, Kurenai, Hide, Yugao, and Anko were already there. They all stood up when they saw the unlikely trio walking in. Whoa. So that's Uzumaki Zabuza, eh? Genma whispered to Hide. To Hide's immense surprise, Zabuza walked right up to him. Are you Gecko Hide? Yeah. Yes, cough. Cough. Sir, is something cough the matter? He asked with a bit of fear in his voice. The other Jonin looked at the pair with some interest. No. It's just that when Naruto, my nephew, was fighting, he used his sword. I've studied sword styles for many years now, and I believe he used Mikazuki no Mai, which is a Gecko cleanse style. Zabuza elaborated to the sickly Jonin. Said Jonin's shoulders relaxed. He didn't even realize that he had been tensing them. Yes, Naruto did learn under me for some time. I would have taught Shikamaru too, but the boy said that using swords was too troublesome. And the two started talking about various subjects ranging from swordsmanship to the latest icha-icha. Oh yes, all Konoha males were perverts. But the surprising part was, the females were even bigger ones. Speaking of perverts, the world's most sadistic couple were standing right next to each other, listening with faint interest to Zabuza and Hide's conversation. Why didn't you come to me when you were done with your meeting? Anko hissed at the masked Jonin. I didn't have time. Guy wanted me to check something out with him. And you know Guy, he's impossible to avoid once he wants something from you. Kakashi replied in a hushed whisper. Zabuza-san, now that you've met Hide, these are the other Jonin of the village. Asuma interrupted their conversation and pulled Zabuza towards the others. This here is Genma. He's a great guy, just don't get him drunk, because he tends to destroy things. Zabuza looked at the man with the senbon in his mouth. Wasn't that a bit dangerous? Nice to meet you, Zabuza-san. We've actually met before, but I was a Chunin back then. In fact, it was in Kure, and you helped me escape from someone. Zabuza and the others looked at the man in confusion. Then Zabuza remembered. Oh, you were the brat who decided to come into Kure wearing your Konoha headband. That wasn't exactly the smartest thing to do, you know. Kure hated Konoha back then. Genma rubbed the back of his head and twirled the senbon in his mouth some more. Whoops. Anyway, this is Redu, and this is Yugao. Asuma continued. Zabuza gave the man and woman a nod. They seemed like nice enough people, but Konoha sure had weird hair. Purple. This is Kurenai. She's also a Jonin sensei. You saw her in the Hokage's office before. Kurenai gave Zabuza a handshake. Zabuza was entranced by her eyes. Ruby, he had never seen that color of eyes before. Oh, and this is the lovely Mitarashi Anko that I was talking about before. Anko gave Asuma an incredulous look and was even more taken aback by Kakashi's growl. What the hell? Zabuza looked at the woman with amusement. He could see now why Kakashi was so overprotective of the girl. She was wearing nothing under her fishnet, and a trench coat over that. If there was a village that would win weirdest clothing, Konoha was it. Kakashi scooted closer to Anko's side, placing an arm over her shoulder. Everyone turned to stare at them. Take Anko. Her name is Take Anko. He spit out at Asuma. Gemma-senbon dropped on the floor. Yugao burped. Harude forgot to cough periodically. Kurenai tried to dispel a genjutsu. Asuma choked on the cigarette he was smoking. Anko squawked. Zabuza just watched in humor. My eternal rival has gotten married to the lovely and youthful Anko. Why did you not tell me, Kakashi? Where was the wedding? Was the cake nice? Oh, why have you left me out of this youthful circle, my comrades? Guy had chosen now of all moments to appear. It seems as though he had heard what Kakashi had said. Then again, the entire complex had. Kakashi and Anko married? Yugao croaked out. Harude inched away from her, hoping she wouldn't get any ideas. For how long? Kakashi Kurenai asked the happy couple. 2 years now, and we're expecting a third Take on the way. Kakashi replied without missing a beat. So Asuma, that's the reason why I've been with her at her apartment. It's because she's going to be the mother of my child. Asuma backed away from the S-rank nin. Whoa man, I'm sorry. I didn't know that you and Anko were like that. His hands were out in front of him in case Kakashi decided to attack. Kakashi, Anko whispered to the man menacingly. He gulped. Oh shit, he had really said that out loud. When exactly were you going to tell me about this? We're expecting children now, and we were married for 2 years? Then where was I when we got married, you idiot? She yelled the last part out so that everyone could hear. Hang on. Kakashi lead? The other jonins watched in sheer amusement as the copy ninja hid behind Zabuza. Hey, well, in my defense, I was considering marrying you 2 years ago, and one day you will be the mother of my children, so it'll be true. The silver-haired idiot hastily said. Zabuza picked the smaller man up and put him in front of Anko. He was in a pickle here. The Take Kakashi that the world knew was stoic and uncaring. He was not awkward and jealous. We need to talk now, Anko hissed. Each word was emphasized by jab in the gut. She would have kicked him in the nuts, but she needed those in the future, so she didn't want to damage them. Anko grabbed Kakashi by the ear and shishined him out of the room. An awkward silence fell over the remaining jonins. Well, so you've already met Kakashi? Asuma chuckled nervously. Kakashi was an idiot sometimes. No, scratch that. He was an idiot all the time. It's just that he hid it extremely well. Zabuza turned to look at the bearded jonin. You know what, Asuma-san? I think Konoha will be brilliant for me. The next couple of weeks passed without incident. Haku and Zabuza fit right in, mingling with the ninja and getting along well enough with some of the civilians. Nearly everyone was surprised that S-ranked ninja Momoki Zabuza was actually Uzumaki Zabuza and the uncle to their resident ex-Uzumaki. Kakashi and Anko's relationship had taken a slight dip. All Anko wanted was for Kakashi to stop acting like a jealous fool, and be more like the Take Kakashi that she knew. He wanted to please her. Needless to say, there was some palpable tension between them. Haku, Shikamaru, and Naruto had the ideal dynamic of a true team. Teamwork obviously wasn't an issue. They each knew their own strengths and weaknesses. It only took Haku a couple of missions to figure out how Shikamaru and Naruto fought as a team. Since both had the Nara bloodline, either one of them would trap the opponent while the other would incapacitate them. Now with Haku added to the equation, it wasn't hard to adjust. Haku fought similarly to them, preferring to fight from the shadows and be invisible. The Sandaime had decided that they would be quite a good assassination team. Haku's ice mirrors were a great way of trapping the enemy and killing them swiftly. It was quite clear to the Sandaime that these three clearly were not genin level, they were at least chunins. However, the days of field promotion were over as Konoha was not in wartime. Unfortunately, the kids had to go through the process of the chunin exams, and that was the reason why the Sandaime had gathered the jonin senseis in his office right now. It was time for the chunin exam nominations. The Sandaime looked all of those in his room over with appraising eyes. You know why you're here. Let's get on with it. The chunin exams start in exactly 2 weeks. If you think that your team has what it takes to compete in the exams, then step forward, the old man commanded. In nanoseconds, Kakashi stepped forward. Take Kakashi, leader of Team 7, nominate Uzumaki Haku, Nara Shikamaru, and Nara Naruto. Sandaime-sama, you know full that those three are not genin level. They have already proved that they have what it takes to be chunin. Kakashi told his leader with such conviction that the wizened man was eager to see what exactly they could do. Indeed I do, Kakashi. Indeed I do. Who else? Asuma stepped forward as well. Sarutobi Asuma, leader of Team 10, nominate Yamanaka Ino, Akimaki Chouji, and Aburamshino. They have shown maturity beyond their years and have the mentality and skill of a chunin. Some of the other jonins present were slightly concerned that only the rookies were being entered. Guy was in the background, mulling over his fellow shinobi's decisions. It was true that Teams 7 and 10 were probably the most advanced out of the rookie teams. Guy himself had his 3 youthful genins under his wing for about a year, yet they had not taken a life yet. And Kurenai's team was decent, but the Uchiha boy always tried to take control of the situation, causing rifts in teamwork. After some deliberation, Guy spoke as well. I made Guy, leader of Team Guy, nominate Rock Lee, Hiwaga Neji, and Tenten. Out of all the teams here, my team has the most experience, though none have killed yet. I believe that they are ready for promotion, he proclaimed confidently. Titters and murmurs were heard throughout the crowd. Finally, Kurenai spoke as well. Sandaime-sama, i.e. Kurenai, leader of Team 8, nominate Hiwaga Hinata, Inizuka Kiba, and Uchiha Sasuke for the exams. It will be a good way to test their skills out. Iruka pretty much had a heart attack right then and there. Hang on, Sandaime-sama, you don't really intend to send 12 rookies into those exams, do you? People can die there. And I mean, some of them might be ready, but others. Iruka, the Sandaime, swiftly cut him off. The decision is not yours to make. If their senseis feel that they are competent, I will trust their judgment. The scarred chunin grudgingly nodded and went back to his place. The Sandaime cleared his throat as he prepared to talk again. There is another reason as to why you are here. A few weeks ago, the genin known as Nara Naruto was given the mission by me to find out why Mizuki wanted to steal the scroll of sealing. Naruto confirmed that he was going to give it to Orochimaru. Naruto also told me that Mizuki had gone to a village by the name of Otogakure for diplomatic negotiations that eventually failed. Mizuki was reported to have odd behavior after that. Jiraiya's spy network recently found out that Orochimaru is indeed the Cage of Sound. Konoha is going to buckle down on its security right now. We will go into our wartime defensive measures. The Sandaime paused to take in the grim and somewhat frightened expressions on a shinobi's faces. His voice turned icy as he spoke once more. There is a very good chance that Orochimaru will be in Konoha during the chunin exams. Don't inform the genin as of yet. We need to see how this plays out. Remember, be on your guard. Trust no foreign village, even our allies. We need to prepare for war. Hiruzen sat back in his chair wearily. That is all. You are dismissed. The shinobis vanished quickly, plagued with the thoughts of another impending war. The Sandaime was left to his own musings as he stared out at the village through the large window. Orochimaru, what have you become? Our 3 favorite genin were currently waiting for Kakashi on the training grounds. Naruto and Shikamaru were playing a game of shogi in which Shikamaru was beating Naruto. When it came to strategy, Shikamaru's Nara brain overpowered Naruto's own. However, in terms of raw strength, Naruto was far superior because of his sheer stamina. All in all, they were a balanced pair. Haku had asked the 2 boys if she could watch them play shogi. Shogi was a game of strategy, nothing more nothing less. Haku wanted to see if she could predict their next moves. It would help her think farther ahead and anticipate the enemy's moves on the battlefield. Naruto looked up suddenly. We have a guest, guys. He pointed at the figure approaching them. Shikamaru could distinctly make out a mop of pink hair. He sighed. She probably had heard what was going on, and had come for answers. He pitied the girl slightly. Sakura came up to them with delicate steps. She stopped in front of all 3, and stared at them for a while. I need some clarification, she finally said. Naruto and Shikamaru sighed, knowing that this was coming. Haku simply looked on, assuming that this was their ex-teammate. We realize we haven't been completely honest with you, and that might have affected you. What do you want to know, Haruno-san? Naruto asked in a tired voice that made him sound more like an old man than a teenager. I just want to know why you've changed, she answered quietly. We never changed. We were always like this. It's just that people don't bother to look underneath the underneath anymore, and they never saw either of our masks. Hell, Naruto wore a genjutsu since our academy days, and no one commented on it. Naruto never had a crush on you. He was never an idiot, and neither was I. He's always had our bloodline, and we've always lived in the same house ever since we were born. What more do you need to know? Shikamaru replied in a lazy tone. Sakura remained silent as she took in what the brunette had told her. There was something beyond that. Sakura knew it. Something big, a secret perhaps. I heard you today. She started softly. In the store. I heard how that person over there is your cousin, and how she's going to be replacing me, Sakura said, pointing at Haku. Naruto and Shikamaru gave each other glances. Naruto stared at the girl in front of him with pity. Listen, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry that we didn't tell you every detail of our lives. We didn't act like teammates, and frankly, we made a crappy team. But can you honestly refute anything we said today? Can you call yourself a team player when you hated both of our guts and wanted nothing to do with us? We gave you a chance. You never took it. His tone never changed, yet even Sakura caught the hint of anger as he spoke. She was silent for some time, never answering Naruto's questions, for she knew what the truth was. It was simply her pig-headedness getting in the way. Who is Kakashi-sensei to you? That's my final question. Then I suppose I'll leave you three alone. He's our cousin, Shikamaru plainly stated. Sakura's emerald eyes widened for a moment. Something was clearly wrong here. Family was not allowed to be on the same team, yet this team, it was entirely comprised of family members. However, she nodded. It would explain the closeness that she had perceived from them all. I see. You have given me quite a bit to think about. I'll take my leave now. Giving the three a stiff formal bow, which they returned, she promptly turned on her heel and marched forward, never looking back. Well, that went well. A voice behind them commented. Kakane, why do you always have the urge to sneak up behind people? Shikamaru asked, not bothering to look at his silver-haired cousin. Kakashi appeared in front of them and smiled his typical eye smile. Well, you know, it's in my blood, coming out of the shadows and all, he replied cheekily. The three of them simply sighed and plopped down on the grass. Shoji forgotten. So, why have you decided to grace us with your presence so early? Haku checked her imaginary watch. It's only an hour since the time you told us to be here. Mama Haku-chan, no need to get so uppity on me. I was late because all the Jonin senseis had a meeting with the Sangame. The Chunin exams start soon, Kakashi announced to his three cousins, holding three forms up. All three perked up at this. Seriously? Naruto questioned incredulously. Kakashi simply nodded. They begin in a week and I am 500% sure that you three already have the skills to be Chunin. The three shot him looks as if to say, what the hell did you think otherwise? Right, so that's why I called you here today. There's no training, Kakashi chirped. Besides, I need to go somewhere. Is Anko Ni-chan still mad about what happened a couple weeks ago? Shikamaru asked half sympathetically, half curiously. Someone, cough, guy, cough, had let it slip about Kakashi's blunder. Needless to say, his image was pretty much changed into that of a love-struck man, making the apple of several women's eyes. Anko was, to put it kindly, pissed as hell at him. There was only so much a woman could take from her jealous, overprotective boyfriend. Kakashi would have to try very hard to win her back. Shut up, Shika. Kakashi grumbled and shushed out of there. Naruto chuckled. So, what say us three hit the ramen stands? He asked hopefully. Ooh, ramen. Let's go. Haku exclaimed enthusiastically, grabbing both the boys and heading towards the ramen stall before any of them could say a word. Sigh. Uzumaki women were just too troublesome. -0. A couple minutes later, they were walking through the village at a nice pace. Aside from the occasional glare thrown Naruto's way, it was quite a peaceful walk. If you ignored the piece of wood that kept following them and giggling. Shikamaru elbowed Naruto, who grinned and nodded. He walked over to the moving piece of wood. Man, do I have to pee or what? No one's around here, so I think I'll take a piss right here on this wooden fence, he said loudly. He even unzipped his pants to make the whole thing sound realistic. He smirked when he saw the wooden fence shake. Oh yeah, it's going to come out now. Haku and Shikamaru laughed in the background. All of a sudden, the wood turned into three kids who were surrounded by clouds of smoke. Naruto heard coughing. You use too much smoke, Konohamaru. A female voice reprimanded the boy. Sorry, came another, semi-male voice. When the smoke cleared, it revealed three children, two male and one female. The lead boy, named Konohamaru, was wearing a yellow shirt with the Konoha symbol on it. Underneath it, his pants were a light gray blue color. On his head, he wore the goggles that were once Naruto's, which had once belonged to Uchiha Obito. To his right, the girl with the two orange pigtails sticking out also had copied Konohamaru's style and wore her goggles her head as well. The last boy, phlegm coming out of his nose. He wore huge glasses and was by far the plainest of them all. Konohamaru, don't you want to say it? The boy named Udon asked him. Moji nodded eagerly, but Konohamaru shook his head. What's the point? Ni-chan already figured us out. See? Haku Ni-chan and Shika Ni-chan are laughing at us in the background. The Sarutobi said sadly. Naruto ruffled the brunette's hair. Don't feel bad. I sensed you following me only because I'm an awesome ninja, Naruto boasted. until Haku wrapped him over the head. Itai Haku-chan, Baka Konohamaru-chan, Maji-chan, Udon-chan, I'll show you how to properly use this cloak of invisibility so that Naru-kun over there won't be able to sense you, Haku exclaimed, walking off with the children who had sparkly eyes. She then shushed the three off to somewhere in a swirl of snowflakes. Naruto and Shikamaru watched them leave. Damn, that woman can hit hard. Naruto winced, rubbing his sore head. Why is it always me, and never you? He grumbled under his breath. Maybe because I'm less troublesome than you, Shika replied. Or maybe she doesn't want to damage her future husband too much, Naruto retorted slyly. He grinned when Shikamaru turned red and walked away from Naruto, muttering something nondescript. Naruto caught up with Shikamaru in a second, and the two of them followed Aku's chakra slowly. All of a sudden, Naruto's muscles tensed. He paused in steps, looking around. Shikamaru glanced back at Naruto's odd behavior. Is everything okay? Not sure. Come on, let's go find Haku. And quickly, Naruto commanded. Shikamaru raised his eyebrows at his cousin, but did as he said. All the way there, Naruto couldn't shake off this feeling. It wasn't of dread, yet of excitement and nostalgia. Hey, is something going to happen? Naruto asked his tenant. Just wait and see, kid. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, Kiwabi told him in his mind. This made Naruto even more curious as to what it was. Shika, Haku and the kids, they're over there, by the main gates, and they're not alone, Naruto told his cousin quietly. Shikamaru turned to the gates. Indeed, Haku and the three academy students were standing at the gates, with three unnamed ninja in front of them. The three looked slightly menacing, and Naruto feared for his cousin and the kids. On the other hand though, the feeling of nostalgia nearly tripled. He heard Kiwabi laughing in the background. In a quick hand sign, the two of them disappeared, and reappeared right in front of Haku and the kids. Haku, stand back, Naruto ordered. She complied, taking the three scared children with her. They watched from a distance. Shikamaru and Naruto looked the three ninja up and down. The shortest one, in the middle, clearly was the most intimidating. He had blood-red hair and a tattoo for love on his forehead. His eyes were puffy and had black rims around them, suggesting that he didn't sleep very well. He wore an outfit that was red as well, along with a gourd strapped to his back. The next one was a blonde girl, with hair nearly the same color as Naruto. It was done up in 4 ponytails. She wore a light lavender-colored shirt with matching pants. On her back rested a huge fan. She was most likely a wind user if the fan was any indication. The last boy was the tallest of them all. He looked eccentric to say the least. Dressed in all black, including a black headdress, he had something wrapped in bandages on his back. A puppet user probably. And was that makeup on his face? State your business in Kanya, Naruto shouted, taking a battle stance. The girl huffed. Geez, we are here for the Chunin exams. There's no need to be so cold. She looked Naruto over a couple of times. It seemed that Kanya bred fine species of men. Wouldn't she like to know? The brunette next to the blonde was also a fine piece of meat. Which one would she eat first? Naruto relaxed slightly. The Chunin exams. It made sense now. Foreigners were coming here, and it seemed that these were the first batch. Naruto-ni-chan, I bumped into the makeup boy and he threatened to kill me. And then Haku-ni-chan saved me. Konohamaru piped up from behind them. Kankuro growled at the boy with the ridiculously long scarf. Naruto turned his gaze on the makeup boy. Kankuro gulped. It was filled with killer intent. You dare threaten to kill an academy student? Do you know who he is? He is the grandson of the Hokage. I suggest for your own safety, you never come near him again. Naruto spat out. Kankuro shook slightly. Well, it was a good thing that he hadn't killed the brat then. Gaara looked at Naruto curiously. He felt so familiar to him, or rather to his mother. Mother, is this boy the one? Yes, Gaara. He is the container to the Lord. Do not underestimate with him, and under no circumstance will you fight him. Do you understand? The Tanuki commanded. Gaara mentally nodded. So this was the vessel to the Kiwabi? Gaara could feel the power oozing off of the blonde. He radiated confidence and leadership. The blonde's blue eyes were like ice, scrutinizing all of them with narrowed eyes. Naruto was having similar thoughts. The redhead felt like a long-lost brother or something. Well, he had red hair. Most Uzumakis had red hair. But that was impossible. Kayuni, Who is he? He's the container to my subordinate, the Ishibi or Shukaku. Kiwabe grinned. Well, this was a nice reunion of sorts. Naruto gasped and took another look at the redhead. He was also a Jinchuriki. Gaara saw Naruto's reaction and gave off a slight smirk that scared the children even more. It seems as though you have noticed. Everyone stared at Gaara in confusion, even Shikamaru. But of course, in a few seconds the genius Nara had it figured out. Indeed I have. May I have your name? Naruto asked the redhead politely. Gaara's siblings looked at the blonde like he had a second head. Sabaku no Gaara. These are my brother and sister, Temari and Kankuro. We are the children of the Kazekage. Gaara replied stiffly, not used to someone outside his family talking to him so normally. Oh great, if Naruto and company would have fought the siblings, there would have been another international conflict. Gaara, it seems like we shall meet again very soon. Naruto turned around, glancing at the tree next to them, walking up to it, and kicking it a couple times. No one commented on that action of his. Come on guys, let's leave the nice Suna people to themselves. We don't want to bother them anymore, he said, picking up Konohamaru as he passed him. Shikamaru stared at his cousin for some time before shrugging and following behind him, chucking a random shuriken at the tree beside him. The three San siblings were left alone, their eyes watching the retreating backs of the Konoha ninjas. Those idiots should know never to turn their backs on an enemy. Kankuro snorted. They don't consider us enemies. That's why. If you attack them, I'll never forgive you, Gaara quietly said. His two siblings turned to their youngest brother in surprise. But why? I mean, Temari waved her hands. Because I do not want to upset him, Gaara simply stated, an eerie grin adorning his face as he walked forward, his eyes flicking towards the tree. Temari and Kankuro looked at each other, the same thoughts running through their minds. Who was him? And what about that tree was so interesting? In the tree rested a trio of people, each wearing headbands that had a music note on it. One of the people had just dodged a shuriken that had lodged itself in a branch. They're good, someone casually commented. They sensed us here, a female said, some fear laced in. Orochimaru-sama said not to worry about them, but I am not so sure. Something's off. We completely suppressed our chakra. No genin should be able to sense us. We have to keep an eye out on them, all of them. Another male voice said, authority in his tone. They descended from the tree, and quickly went off to report to their master. He wasn't going to be very happy. Naruto, what was that about? Haku asked him after they had dropped the children back at the academy. It turns out they had skipped class, and Iruka wasn't very happy with them. The kid with the red hair, he's like me. He has the Shukaku sealed inside of him, Naruto explained to the Raven. Haku gasped slightly, before composing herself. She wasn't aware that there were more people like Naruto in the world. Shikamaru saw this and decided to clarify. There are 9 Biyu or tailed beasts in the world. Each hidden village has its own Jinchuriki, maybe more than one. In Konoha, the Kiwabe has been sealed in the Uzumaki family for 3 generations now. Shukaku is in Suna. I know for a fact that Kumo has 2 beasts, and Kure must have some as well. The life of a Jinchuriki is not nice. We are supposed to be human sacrifices, weapons. But that isn't true. We're still human, even if we have monsters sealed inside of us. Gaara understands this. I can see it in his eyes. He accepts himself for who he is, for what he is. I'm sure he's lived a tougher life than I have. But that's why we are strong. Everyone wants us to fail, to die. Because of this, we are forced to grow up quickly, forced to relinquish our childhood. When we meet someone like us, it can be either good or bad. I'm sure Gaara will want to meet with me soon, and I'm actually looking forward to it. Me and him, we're brothers by circumstance. We need to stick together, Naruto added quietly, his hands in his pockets, his head down. Haku and Shikamaru silently contemplated what he had said. It was true. Jinchuriki were scorned, hated for what they carried even if they had no choice. Killing a Jinchuriki would expunge the Biyu from his or her body, causing something like the Kiwabe attack to happen all over again. But people never saw that side. The thought that killing a Jinchuriki would kill the Biyu as well. Haku draped an arm around the blonde's shoulder. Naru, you're not strong because you're a Jinchuriki. You're strong because you have people that love you, and you want to protect those people. Remember that. He smirked at her. Of course I know that. I don't need to rely on the red-haired idiot inside of me for everything. I resent that kid. I'll never talk to you again. Kiwabe cried, fake tears running down his face. Oh shut up. You were asleep until I said that. You ignored everything that we said after you told me that Gaara had Shukaku in him. Kiwabe didn't have a retort. so he simply went back to sleep, dreaming about rabbits and snakes and the best way to kill them. Shikamaru smiled a true smile, not one of those half smirks that he gave. Let's not talk about such depressing things. The Chunin exams are in a week. We need strategies. Naruto, let's go play some more shogi, and we'll talk. What about Ramen? Naruto and Haku whined at the same time. The brunette shirt dropped. Fine, we'll have Ramen, then we'll go play shogi. Yatta. The two cousins yelled at the same time, racing towards Ikaraku. Shikamaru shook his head. Uzumaki were troublesome as hell. No question about that. Oh make, Konohamaru and Naruto. The first time Naruto had seen Konohamaru was when the boy was first born. Naruto had wondered quite loudly why the baby looked like a hairless rat, much to all of the Sarutobi's contempt. But over the years, Konohamaru had grown, and much to Naruto's fascination, it turns out he wasn't a hairless rat. It was at the age of 7, when Konohamaru was 3, when Naruto decided that he was going to train the youngest Sarutobi. Of course Hiruzen was very scared because it was around this time that Naruto had developed the sexy technique, with the help of Jiraiya. Jiraiya still had the scars from Tsunade to prove how angry she was when Naruto had shown her the cage killer. It was around the age of 5 when Konohamaru had decided that his Naruto Nichan would become his Uaban boss. His lifelong goal at the time was to find out how Naruto had made his grandfather bleed so much just from doing one technique. Naruto immediately accepted the young Sarutobi as his disciple and began training him right away in the Forest of Death. The sexy no jutsu was a very intricate, very complex technique. It combined taking the male pervertedness and transforming it into something tangible. The first person that Konohamaru had tried it on was Kakashi because he was the second most perverted person in the village. Of course, Konohamaru's sexy no jutsu ended up being a fatter, older, and male version of Anko. Kakashi couldn't look at Anko in the eye for the next 3 months without remembering that image. The second time he had tried it, it had been on Ebisu, his perverted private tutor who hated Naruto. Konohamaru had turned into Kurenai, with some major changes. For instance, Kurenai's hair, which was black, was now red, and her eyes were orange. The rest of her body was not worth describing. Luckily though, Ebisu was put into the hospital for nearly 2 weeks because of mental trauma. It took 17 tries, but the Sarutobi finally did it on none other than the king of perverts himself, Jiraiya. He had turned into an older, bustier, female version of himself. And then Tsunade had come along, watching as her husband drooled over some unknown female. Konohamaru had hinged back into his 5-year-old self after Jiraiya's beatings had started. Horrified, he screamed out for Naruto to come save him. The blonde had arrived in the nick of time, sparing Konohamaru's eyes and ears from the disastrous sight. Naruto had made Konohamaru promise that he would only use the technique when times were desperate. It had been a pinky promise. 3 days later, Naruto was confronted by an irate Sandaime who was nursing an enormous nosebleed. Konohamaru was standing in the corner, grinning to himself. Hiruzen had asked why Naruto thought it was necessary to teach Konohamaru that particular technique. Naruto argued that he told Konohamaru to only use it when he had no other option. When they both asked Konohamaru why he used it, the boy had simply said that Hiruzen was forcing him to eat his vegetables, and he hated vegetables. When it had gotten too much for the boy, he used the sexy no jutsu. Konohamaru had to eat vegetables for the rest of the month every night. Naruto had to feed him. The both had promised never to use the technique in front of the Sandaime again, unless they needed to. That's the end guys. Make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment. This is Maelstrom signing off.